and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone had a chance to review the agenda. I recommend to approve and adopt the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve and adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda has been approved. Presentation and approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting, October 22nd, 2025.
Madam President, I move to approve the minutes of the October 22nd.
A second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the October 22nd, 2025 minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes of October 22nd, 2025 have been approved. Public forum. The Board of Education welcomes public comments during the visitors portion of the school board meeting agenda. All comments must be related to a topic on the agenda for that particular meeting. The public comment section of the agenda will be the only time the board takes any questions or comments from the public unless we as a board choose to solicit more information from a person or a group attending the meeting on matters specific to the agenda. Any public comments? Yes, it's Open Meetings Act. Yes, you have to. And it
I have.
can be, you can actually put, I think before there's been like, how long you want to give people if they want to talk to them, so you can add that. Like, yeah.
I have no comments.
No one on, okay. No?
Got 60 people watching. Three?
But I'm one of them.
You're one of them?
Okay, superintendent's report, Mr. Imholtz.
Okay, I'm gonna do this a little bit different, because one administrator, I won't name his name, always says I steal his thunder, so I'm gonna let them give their reports and I'll do mine last, so I don't steal his thunder by mentioning his name. So we'll go ahead and start in order. Elementary, of course, we'll start first.
Alright, good evening, board. Alright, for Alva's current attendance is 142 students, pre-K through 4th. I just have a list of events that have happened within the last month and then events that are coming up with the busy holiday season. So on the 29th of October, we had our CHS Science Club. Mrs. Miera and her group of students came over. They hosted different science experiment stations with our 1st and 2nd grade groups. Had some really cool things going on there, so we were thankful for that high school coming over and working with our kiddos on that. Just today, Jeanette Walker, she's our CES site consultant who comes in. She conducted a classroom walkthrough, so what she does is she goes into each classroom, does her walkthrough, and then provides specific feedback to teachers. And then also afterwards, this afternoon, from 4:15 to 5, all of my classroom teachers stayed, and we do mini professional development. And so the professional development is focused on something called building thinking classrooms, which is really hitting on how we teach and get kids to critical think. Because looking at data shows our math scores are not where they should be. And so a large piece of that is that critical thinking piece. And so one of our goals is to improve scores, and that's how we're trying to combat that a little bit. And she's wonderful. She's, been an Alva's principal forever, years ago, and so we're thankful to have her. So she was here today doing that. Tomorrow is our Thanksgiving family meal. Alva's has sold 152 tickets.
Wow.
So we're gonna have lots of families coming into Alva's. Mr. Olmos is gonna come help serve tomorrow, because I know we're gonna be busy, but I know our families really appreciate that, coming in and being able to eat with kiddos. And it's a great meal. Our cafeteria does a wonderful job with that. For December, on December the 5th, I know I told the board, I think a month or two ago, that Golden Spread, in partnership with Save the Children Foundation, had donated over 3,000 pounds of toys. We want to get rid of those, and we want to give back. And so Alvis will be doing a Alvis Christmas spree, shopping spree. So I'm going to open the building on a Friday. It'll be December the 5th from 10 to 2, and hopefully have parents or guardians of kiddos that are at Alvis come in and shop for free and get toys. We have toys and books and socks and toothbrushes, brand new items still in the package, just to help families with Christmas expenses. So I have that posted out on social media. We've sent flyers home. If you could get the word out about that, because we want to get rid of all that stuff, but also just help families out with, helping support their kiddos for Christmas. Let's see, December 8th through the 11th, we will be doing our middle of year testing for iReady and iStation. So when we come back in January, hopefully, I'll have middle of year results to hopefully see some growth from beginning to middle of year in reading and math. On the 16th of December, Albus will be having their Christmas program at Wood Auditorium. This year we're including our little daycare friends, and so Miss Carolyn's been working with the 3 and 4-year-old side, and so we're gonna have that going on. And on the 17th are our Christmas parties, and then on the 18th, we're doing a Polar Express Day and off for Christmas break. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Status of daycare being certified with the state.
So with that, we had to get a letter from the IRS that, I guess verifies our EIN number for tax purposes. I've been working with Gowan on that, but with the government shutdown that had happened, they stalled. And the only way you can get that letter is you have to call them or you have to get it by mail. And so I have been talking with Gowan on that, and that was not something that was initially listed on that paperwork that stated we had to have that. So that's where we're at, is a letter from the IRS.
What about the other walkthrough that was supposed to occur?
All she told me was if we had that letter from the IRS, that we should be,
And so she told you this in an email to where you could bring it back? Because I really hope that's something that doesn't die, because that affects some of our lower paid employees. And I really hope it can be certified. I mean, we've been working on this for well over a year, because you've been working on it for well over a year, and it's just they keep throwing different things out there. So, please, please, please.
This will be our last step. We hope that's to make us,
Hopefully.
yeah.
so that's kind of where we're at, but once we get that, then we should be smooth sailing.
Good. Good job. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, board. This week, we are doing our MOI, middle of the year assessment at Kaiser Junior High. We are working on that right now. Actually, I think Kaiser is done, junior high will finish tomorrow. So we've been working on that all week. We also have Thanksgiving lunch tomorrow. And we had 40 in Kaiser and 18 in junior high that are gonna be coming with bought tickets. Last Saturday, Miss Jacobs and Miss Massey took a group of girls to the WISE conference in Amarillo. They all had a whole lot of fun with that. And while that was going on, Mr. and Ms. Victory took a whole other group of kids to, Portales for,
Pound
Pound for Day.
Pound for that.
So, cause I had a lot of my 7th and 8th graders go for that as well. We have picture retakes on the 3rd of December. We had our first basketball game last night. Our boys won, our, girls got beat. Kaiser Christmas program, they're going to put on a Christmas program on the 11th at Wood Auditorium at 6:30.
Cool.
That's the Kaiser Christmas
Oh,
program.
sorry.
5th through 12th, we are working on a band concert. We do not know the exact date, but stay tuned. We've been back and forth on days, so, and then, and Clayton, the junior high and Kaiser were both spotlight schools.
Awesome, fantastic.
That is great. Congratulations. That's great.
Okay. 40-day camp, we had 108 kids in the high school this year. Actually have a lot of pretty good accolades to share with you real quick. Of course, volleyball season's done. We finished with a 9-14 record, which is a huge turnaround from last year. We were 1-21, I believe is what we were last year. Actually got some girls that made all district in 6AA volleyball. Jasmine Wilson was a middle blocker. Addison Ferris was libero, and Adeline Burlington was Bullington was an honorable outside hitter, and that's as a freshman, so I thought that was pretty dang good. That was pretty cool stuff that was there. Basketball has started, junior high started track on the 3rd of November, varsity started just on the 17th. And as you said, junior high had their first game on the 18th. That was against Des Moines, and of course the boys did win, the girls was not quite as lucky as what the boys were. We had a winter sports meeting held here on the 17th at the high school cafeteria. It was for basketball and powerlifting. Mr. Umholtz said, I offer food, people won't come, all you do is talk about basketball, and that cafeteria was packed. Lots and lots of people there.
Good turnout.
So he was pretty happy about that. The band did go to NMU to participate in the Hound for a Day. We had 10 students that went to Portales, got to play with the college band, actually got on the sideline and got in the, I seen videos from Cassie's, it was so heck cool. Those kids were there in their uniforms and stuff, and pretty neat stuff that was going on there. I was really proud of them. Mr. Victory said that all the students had a great time, really enjoyed the chance to attend and be able to play at the college band. Do have a little bit of assessment finally data to get back to you. It was on the PSAT that we took back on October 22nd at the cafeteria. We got our results back. When I first looked at it, I was not any more impressed than I was before, until we looked at it a little bit deeper. Average score for Clayton was actually about an 846. The average score for PED schools in New Mexico, 829. So we're above the state average. Average scores for charter schools and private schools, 839. We're still above them. Now, bad part is we're quite a ways below the national average, which is a 952. But it was positive information and positive data to get back. That's just on our sophomores. That's who that was on. So that's where our sophomore class is at. We're proving. Of course, I'd like it to be instant, but it's getting better. We're getting better. So our NWA that we talked to you about before, it doesn't happen until the 5th of January. When we come back on the TV day, we will have from 8 o'clock in the morning till noon, with my teachers at the high school being trained on NWEA, and then we will be able to do that assessment, I think, Ms. Gordy said, maybe January 1st, February, to where we can get some data, and then we can get it again at the end of the year and finally start having some real data at the high school to know exactly where we're at. We held a fall festival on the 15th, a little bit smaller than anticipated crowd, but everybody had a good time. The highlight was hitting Mr. Barcelo and Mr. Umholtz in the face with a pie, so that was pretty awesome. I thought that was pretty cool. Freshman class made a lot of money. Unfortunately, I didn't make it back in time, and I really did try. And I called him and I said, dude, I'm 20 minutes out. He goes, that's real good. We shut it down 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it. So I did try. I really did try. So our FFA held District Creed this year. First time in a long time that we've had District Creed in Clayton. And I just want to tell you how many people came up to me. I didn't get to spend a lot of time up there, but of course it's all the ag teachers that I know and other people. What a fantastic job Mr. Doherty did. If you see Mr. Doherty, relay that to him. He did an outstanding job on it. The creed was good, his judges were good. They cooked a hamburger and hot dog meal for everybody, and I got compliments on front to back, everything they did. Absolutely, really enjoyed the stuff that was going on there. Brylan Callis won the junior high creed contest for the district. She'll go to NMLC in February. And Lincoln Sires was 4th in the green hand contest, and she'll be the first alternate to go to state convention for the green hand if somebody drops out, and I think they're gonna drop out. I personally called that teacher and said, hey, if that kid drops out, I wanna know so that our kid can go to state convention it'll be in June at the state convention down there. We also have a student that made the all-state small school band and is playing the first chair, Riker Scott. Well-deserved honor for a great student. He'll be playing band with the band in Albuquerque in January. I'm not going on Wednesday, maybe Thursday or Friday. I can't remember how many days they play in there. They're going to be gone like 3 or 4 days. I will attend one day down there so I can get to see. I think it's a big deal. We got a kid that's all-state band. I think that's pretty cool, so I'm going. Cool. Oh, I didn't tell you that. I am going.
He's a freshman, right?
He is a freshman, and that's pretty darn cool. And I tell people all the time, when I first came here and I listened to the band, and, music's big in my family, and we have lots of musicians in my family, and I'm like, oh, man, you know, oh. And it's every week, it just got better and better and better, and I'm telling you, that band is, Mr. Victory's doing an outstanding job with that, it was pretty cool. Let me see, other things, Baca Valley will be coming tomorrow, they're gonna do a walk around on our camera system here at the high school. We're looking at replacing some cameras and stuff, our cameras are severely outdated. Safety, security, stuff like that, we need to update our cameras, and they're gonna give us a cost on what it's gonna take to update our camera system here. Fire alarms are still not finished at the high school, God love them. I don't know if y'all have seen it at night, but it looks like a light show over here sometimes at night. I told that man if he does not shut that thing off beeping in my office, I am not gonna be a nice dog, because I get tired of listening to beep, beep, beep all that young day. So we're getting,
They heard it that night.
yeah,
All of
it's an interesting time when all that stuff is going on. December the 8th, we have an NHS induction that we'll be doing. I'm sorry, I did not write down the exact time, but we have five students, I think, that we're inducting into NHS this year.
Great.
It's the 15th. They did have to move it to the 15th.
Oh, you're right.
Is that a junior thing, like junior, senior thing, or is it freshman?
No, it's upper class. We don't have, you can have a junior high NHS. We don't have that yet. This is the high school, so it's a junior senior for that, okay? But you can actually go into lower classes. We had to change it, it was on the 8th, but we had to change it to the 15th because we're going to the cowbell. And I don't want coaches yelling at us for having a couple of kids out right before the day before the cowbell. So we did change it to the 15th. I got a couple other things to just stuff I want to bring out. I had a meeting the other day with my teachers, and we're talking about Chromebooks. Personally, I can't stand them. I don't like the Chromebooks. I don't like anything about it. And I'm going to tell you this. I had Justin run some analytics on it. 2 days at the high school, I had 1,100 hours of YouTube in 2 days at the high school, not the junior high, not the elementary, at the high school. I don't know how you get 1,100 hours in 2 days. And I asked my teachers, you want Chromebooks? We don't use them. And then we got to talking, there's several of them that use it for different stuff. And I had a teacher say, well, I'm not gonna do a bell ringer. And I said, yes, you will do bell ringers. Well, how would I do that? I know this is gonna blow your mind, but you can print this paper out. You can put it up on that TV that's in your room, and we can go back to teaching like we need to be teaching. So we've had some serious discussions about Chromebooks. I am not a big fan of Chromebooks. I've argued with Mr. Umholtz. He's more, I type like this, maybe he types a little faster, but I'm not that much into the technology side of it when I'm getting 1,100 hours of YouTube usage in 2 days. That drives me crazy. So we're gonna talk about that. We're still gonna discuss that.
Is that not blocked by
I
the?
was just about to ask that.
There's a lot of
Well, they-
teachers that
they
use
use it.
YouTube.
I would block it,
We have college people that we got,
Yeah. college classes.
dual credit classes, and they're posting stuff on YouTube.
For them to do.
It makes it tough. Because I can't come in and take him off of YouTube. Well, I guess I could, but Justin would absolutely gut you.
But that is a subscriber, when they post that on there, it's only given to that kid, though, that video. Like, not everybody can get in there, so not
You're right.
everybody should be using it.
You're right, but YouTube is open, and I'm working on getting YouTube shut off.
So we use Screencastify.
So they go on, they do it.
Yeah, and it's like YouTube, but it's secure
But-
and it's only school.
But you're an online school.
No, I know, but I mean, so it's like it is like a YouTube platform and stuff, like
Right.
for those. And
Right.
you can transpose like the YouTube video into the Screencastify to where it's secure.
But we're working with Mesa Lands, and we're working with ENMU. They could care less about,
They don't use it?
they do use YouTube. They don't care about the high school side of it.
They're not gonna make it to where it's
They tell them
because
to go there.
it's too much stuff on their end, so
Right.
we have to change stuff on our end, I guess is where I'm
Right.
getting to. So that's something that we're looking at right now, trying to get, some of that stuff changed, and it's a big deal, it's a big deal, sir.
Do we have to have Chromebooks? I mean, do they have to have that as like a law, or is that how?
No, it's not law. No, sir.
Take it away then.
We do have to have Chromebook on
We
state
have,
testing,
like state testing, then you know how to use them.
that kind of
things like
stuff, we
that.
do have to have.
You have to have them for
Like
dual
one
credit
time.
as well.
You have to have for dual
Twice a year.
credit, right.
On dual credit, and I'm gonna touch on that for just a second here in a minute. So it's for state testing and which would be a dual credit deal. But on the dual credit, they have a dual, what is that called, Cassie, a dual, where they have to log in?
Two-factor authenticator.
Two-factor yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so they used to use their phones, well, we don't have phones anymore. Okay, but here's the problem with it. I've got too many kids bringing in personal devices, they're not on the Wi-Fi, but yet they're using their personal devices.
So you shut that.
How do you ask? Because they got their daggum phone turned on, they're using a hotspot. So the next thing that's leaving is personal devices. It's not gonna be any laptops, there's not gonna be any iPads, to where we can start controlling a little bit of the stuff that goes on. And I've talked to Justin 100 times. He said, every time I shut something down, there's 9 others pop up. So it's easier to eliminate the root of the problem, the personal device, than it is to try and stay in front of everything that's happening on the internet.
So will there be any kind of computer technology class available then, so we can keep these kids?
You know, what I'd really like to do at one time is, I don't know why we don't have a computer lab.
Right,
I don't know why we don't.
that would.
I've been here 4
solve-
months, we don't have a computer lab, I don't know why. I ask myself a lot of questions every day.
Two of them.
Well, there's 0 today,
Yeah.
none. So that's something that I seriously think that we need to look at, and this is gonna stop a lot of the, stuff on the backside. We're still gonna have to use the Chromebooks for state testing, but we can put them in carts, they can be charged. When they're needed, we can roll them to the cafeteria, or wherever it is that we're doing our state testing, and kids can use them there. That's able to be used at that time.
And you're taking their phones away, right? I mean, they don't have phones away.
We're not supposed to-
So here's what the law says, they can't use them in an academic setting. It does not say they can't walk into the school with a phone.
Oh, so they're not turning them in anymore?
Oh, sir, no,
Oh.
no. So, I have a lot of battles I wanna fight, but if that phone's in the bottom of that backpack, I'm not gonna fight that battle, if that makes sense. If you have it out, or I see you with earpods in, or if you have a personal device, and I see that you're on the internet, now I can fight that battle. But to go through 108 kids every single day and get the phone, it's just, that's just not a battle that I have enough time in the day to fight. I don't have that much time. So, we're working on that. What was your question again, ma'am? I'm sorry. So
I
get it right.
just said they needed a Chromebook for dual credit card.
Okay, thank you. A couple other things that I got, just because we were sitting around talking about it. We, actually, i.e. Cassie, has been creating a dual credit manual. Our dual credit has got about 5 lines in there. Only thing that it says is they gotta have a 3.2 GPA, cumulative GPA. We're working on some stuff. Dual credit is not, as far as I'm concerned, something that's just handed to every kid that comes out. I believe it's something that you kind of earn. You just don't get dual credit. We're working on a manual right now. When we get everything done, we'll bring it to you. We'll show you what we have in it. There's nothing as far as absences, tardies, excused or unexcused in there. There's nothing in there, in that handbook that's on it. So there's a few things in there that we're working on, and I told Mr. Humboldt, hey, we're working on this stuff, trying to get this figured out, and I'm sure you've looked at our handbook. Whew, that handbook is tough, it's tough. If
A
you want-
reference to another reference.
If you do understand it, Cassie and I both read it, the exact same 2 sentences.
and it was dealing with kids going to sporting events or school functions and coming back the next day, and she read it as, it's not going to affect your deal, and I read it as, you can't do that. So we have two of us in the same room reading it at the same time, with two different interpretations of it. It's very vague. So we have a lot of work that we're doing on the backside, trying to go through this handbook and stuff, but it's outdated. It doesn't fit the stuff that we need throughout the entire handbook. And I visited with Ms. Gaither as well. There's a lot of stuff in there on no, it's on our, when the kids are in trouble, it doesn't go through our discipline matrix. When they're in trouble, it does not go through there and spell stuff out that is really applicable to the situations, if that makes sense.
Line for line.
Yes, sir. It's off the wall stuff. That happened when, some of it was when it was a 5-day school. It would make more sense if it was a 5-day school, but we don't have that, if that makes sense. Last thing I've got, I'm looking for a long-term sub in English. Anybody want to be a long-term sub? If you know somebody, I'd certainly be interested in visiting with them. I've made one call, I've not got that call back yet. So working on trying to find a long-term sub. No, it wasn't you, ma'am. But I would take you. But, looking for a long-term sub. We're gonna lose our English teacher the 11th of December. She goes on maternity leave. And won't be back until March, somewhere in there.
You reached out to North Isaac? I don't know that she would do it.
I'll tell you stuff later. No, she can't do that. There's not a lot of people around. But I did get 2 new subs though, Lynn and Karen Clay. I don't know, Lynn said, man, this has changed. Oh, yeah, yes, sir. But we got 2 new subs anyway. Last thing I want to ask you, this is just kind of a silly thing. Have we ever thought about winter meeting hours at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock in the winter? Or is it, everybody works till 5 or I'm just curious, just seemed like it'd be nicer to get out an hour earlier in the dark. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, it won't affect anybody.
Well, but I'm just
But
saying,
I agree.
I just think because it's so dark at 5 o'clock.
I just
Might be
think it
something
makes
to
for a
think
long day for you guys to have to sit here.
And then the summer, and the rest of the time it's not so bad because it's still light, you know.
Why can't it always be 5 o'clock? I mean,
I
The
go,
only thing is it makes it harder for the public to attend, although we don't have huge public.
You guys, I
turnout.
appreciate you guys.
Yes.
But
Thank you for
it
coming.
does make it harder.
you are the public.
so I'll quit babbling, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a couple questions.
Come on,
Okay. Sorry, I'm always that guy.
I like that.
All right, okay. First of all, whenever you're taking dual credit, like college credit, is it on a 5-point scale or is it on a 4-point scale?
It's on a 5-point scale, that's
Okay,
in our
there's a
handbook.
4-point scale when we were in school.
Okay, it's
We
in our
got
handbook, it's a
screwed
5-point
with
scale.
physical science. And
And-
then someone's taking physical art from then,
Right.
you're taking college chemistry, and like a B is not the same.
Absolutely.
Okay,
two
so it is 5-point scale.
It is a 5-point scale, it's in the handbook. There's no extra points besides that, it's just on a 5-point scale, that's where it's at,
Okay.
okay?
Alright. Track timers. So we can actually have a district
Dang, I
meet.
just got asked that question. I was at the AD meeting at Santa Rosa. I don't know if you know Wayne Ferguson or not.
I do not.
Well, you think you can do the track meet? I said, absolutely we can do that track meet. That's what they said, I think they couldn't do it. I said, I know we have the I know we have the stuff there. Justin's getting us some computers, we have to have 2 computers that we gotta kind of dedicate to that deal right there. By the time track gets here, we should be set up, everything should be ready to go, and we can host the district track meet this year.
Okay.
Without Cimarron coming and bringing their stuff. We should have,
Us do our own thing.
yes, sir,
All stuff.
yes, sir.
And then we'll be able to qualify no matter what, like anytime that Clayton runs, when we be able to qualify like you
Yes,
did?
yes, because we'll have the official time,
Right,
yes, sir.
awesome.
Yep. So,
That was embarrassing last year. with
It's,
the district meet.
hey, everything's
Everything.
a work in progress, but we're working towards it.
I appreciate that.
But man, they just asked me that, and And I said, sit down, Wayne, we're gonna do this.
I was so frustrated whenever we spent $675,000 on a new track, and we don't have a timer, so you can't even have a beat.
Well, it's interesting that we only have 5 lanes, because I asked Mr. Holmes, I said, do we not have any kids up here? If we can't get 6 lanes? I mean, Dora's got a 6-lane track, you only got 6 kids per track, so everybody practices in their own lane,
Their own pace.
which is pretty cool. I don't know how they do handoffs if everybody's in their own
Yeah,
track.
right.
But,
Condense it for that one.
it's kinda interesting, but, no, we're set up, we're ready to go, and I think, we should be 100% be able to do that.
Great.
That's, we're already working on it. We're working on baseball, we're working on softball. It's a every day.
Right on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Take it. Go.
That wasn't that bad this time.
Okay, I'll start with, no, I'm done. I gave you a chance. So, go back, of course, first I want to start off, and thank y'all and the community, everybody, that we passed our bond. So now I've been working with PSFA, that was and I knew we could do it, so, now, I'm working, doing the hurdles with PSFA to get them out here to get us, but we're turning in more paperwork, and I'm doing all that, so we're working on that, so I'll have them out here and keep y'all abreast about everything coming on about that. Also, I've been working, I just came back yesterday, we're getting a brand new director for the REC3, because I was very disappointed when I was here that our REC didn't do all the others did, so we're getting a new director. And I'm used to meeting once a month with superintendents, and we all talk, and we try to do stuff together, and you know, because I got to brag on our spotlights, because the larger district, I had all traditionals, so I'm still proud of that. But did talk to her about last year, we should have been 3 spotlights, because it's always a year behind, because our high school had the points, they just didn't have the graduation rate. I would have argued that and got you that, so, and I told her how to do that, so. Our elementary, which is barely off.
Wait a minute, our high school didn't have the graduation rate?
No, they had a graduation rate last year, but it wasn't high enough, and that's why you didn't get a spotlight. You had the 64 points that you're supposed to get, then there's other things. We missed it barely because of our attendance rates from the year before.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you gotta go, there's all those little indicators, like, the only reason the elementary was the attendance was down a little bit. That's what took them off.
Oh, that's what it is.
Attendance.
It's not even a
Because their
sport.
points are, because you get your points and you have all those indicators. And that's what's bad, is so many superintendents and people don't know all the stuff they hide up there. So I'm the one that fights them, because I'll just tell you, the district I came from, I got there and they had a low performing, a traditional, and a spotlight. And they weren't low performing, it's just, you can't low perform, you only had 6 kids take that SAT test. So I got that back to, and this year they got all 3 spotlights, it's because of some things I put in, we're gonna do here, I'll talk with them later. But, you just gotta know this system, I guess. So we should have had 3 spotlights last year. This year we had 2, we really should have 3, so I got some of that attendance, I couldn't. So it's those kind of indicators that you got, and I'm trying to get the state of New Mexico to change it. Their assessment is just not very good. And the lady that's been put in charge 2 years ago, we're working closely together, and she agrees with me. So that was, we did, you know, I was really, yeah, we're gonna get 4.
What's the score minimum that could be?
Well, like, you gotta be-
Spotlight school?
You gotta be in the you gotta be above 60, we usually are, but then you gotta have those indicators, like the ones that are traditionals are usually right below 60. And we had our schools were in the 60s.
That floors me about the graduation rate,
Because it was, the year before, it was, well, 2 years ago, it was 77% or 74. And you gotta be 85, and we can get that. Now, we know we had 100%. I hope we don't get it. Yeah, we had 100% for this past year. I don't think we'll have 100% this coming year, but we'll still have a good rate. But that, if you look on if you read it, we had 74 point 2 years ago. Because you know, it's always that year behind. So that's the only thing, because I'm looking at it, that's what kept us off. Because you had 60 something in the high school 2 years ago. So last year we should have been considered 3 spotlight school. and I've gone in and thought that, 'cause I think they're just, so if you look at the, because I compared that, so, but still very proud that we did have two, there was at one campus, and the other two were, you know, elementary just barely off, and there's like, those indicators, so we're gonna work on that, we'll make sure that we're gonna have 4 spotlights for this first grade. I was kind of proud, because we did pretty well for this area, for this region, so, that's good. So we do, like you said, looking at the scores, we're still above the state, we're still above the charter. We've got smart kids. And us working on getting, they're letting them on the YouTube too much. So we gotta get something done on that.
Is there limits of the YouTube?
Because we don't have that problem with the other 2 campuses.
Because it's already pretty locked down, right? YouTube is pretty
Yeah,
locked
they
down.
can go to there's certain parts of YouTube campuses. I'm used to having no YouTube access and no Facebook access for people, even the, teachers, everybody like. We did, there's the teacher one. There's Facebook and, teacher, that's it, that's the one, they have a lot of, teacher too, because that way, they don't have all this stuff. So we're gonna work on that, and I think that we'll get that, and plus, the last 3 years, I put in this implement, where all kids were on the computer, 30 minutes a day, doing assessment. That's how we raised it. How to get out of that was you had to have high scores. So we had a little competition, so that's how we took 3 years to get 3 campuses to spotlight. But that assessment helped everybody. So we're gonna talk about that and try to work that out. We'll get it. You have to use the computers for that. The kids have to do that every day. So, we're gonna work on that. And I'll get Gowan to talk about this. You know, a couple years ago, we got the $200,000 money given for maintenance/security. Well, for 1 year, when I was here, we got so much money given for, it's all that extra money that they have to get rid of. But, they have too much money, so we just now got $100,000. But I had to write it out, because it's for security only. So, I'll put down the tinted windows, the cameras and stuff like that. I don't know if that got directly put in our account already, but we did get, every school got $100,000. So that just showed, because they had to get it out of that account, that's just how much money's there, so we're gonna fight for some more money out of that PSFA. So I'm working on that, I'm working on some other grants, we're working really liking that we're redoing the REC3 and finding a director, and we're gonna start getting services, because I can't find a social worker, can't find a counselor. Look, our REC should help us with that, they should find somebody that we can all, because others had trouble, we was talking about counselors, if I could get one, I'd take them 2 days a week and let someone else have them 1 day. We could do those services, and they said we used to have those services, because all the other ones do it. So we're working on that, and that's one thing when I first came here, I guess that person that's been there 28 years decided to go ahead and retire. But I think we should have monthly meetings instead of every 3 months. So we're working on that, things are going good. The fall, like you said, the fall festival, there wasn't a big turnout, but it was a lot of fun. So we'll work on that. We had one, I didn't make near as much money. They had I won't mention, but they had a freshman student that did it, and he made more, everybody wanted him to buy teachers, Mr. Almholtz, everybody, he made us a lot of money at $2. He did it. We were all so excited he was up there, so. But that fall festival was a big deal. So we continue, and just like he talked about, I had superintendents call me about how good our FFA competition was, that the kids came back and their ag teachers even said, so that really, and it came about, it was talking about, well, feed them, because I had from another school, goes, you gonna feed us? You know, they're all hot dogs. So we had it, and it didn't cost us much to do that, but that was y'all, and the kids did it. I mean, I know Mr. Jordan, he did a lot of work. I went with him Saturday, we went and got supplies together, and we went also, he knew about the, not tractor supply, they pay for half of the, Kubota. But even though they're in Texas, they're gonna pay for half of, I think they're gonna help pay half of our price on our jackets for our ag kids.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, and I know we've always been able to find the money to pay back for us, because a lot of these kids can't afford that. So he knew about that, so I went with him, because you stand there. So I think they're gonna do that for us, so that's, we'll find the money, the rest, we'll pay the rest. So we're doing things like that. Yeah, that's basically, I'm just still trying to fight to get five.
Whatever happened to the greenhouse that we purchased 2 years ago that never,
And I don't, what is the greenhouse?
I don't know.
So I'm still looking through the records, where did we spend the money on?
We didn't spend the money, so I don't know.
I guess we got the.
We have it.
Right.
we had-
That's been, that was here like 12 years ago, I think.
Right, look at 10. Do we have, because I've been asking, we have a
We
greenhouse?
have it, we have it somewhere, and. it was
Now, I know we have a
really-
building that's like a storage building, but it's not a.
Oh,
what's
they got
that?
It's a
four-car
garage.
Yeah.
That's that, that's not the, but that's not the greenhouse you're talking about, right, that's a different, we're looking, yeah. That's over by the football field, right, stacked up, so I knew about that.
Yeah, but that's for transportation, that was used for transportation,
No,
money
the-
can only
no.
be spent, can
No.
only be used for
That's
transportation.
FFA.
I thought it was.
No, this was
Not
not,
talking about the one that's over there at the,
yeah, no, no.
Originally, it was purchased through transportation.
yeah,
Oh,
Ed came back and said you can't spend that on building materials.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
no, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
right, I
It
see.
belongs to the school, because the school paid for it.
Right. You're right about
I
that.
thought it
You
was.
can use it wherever you
When I first
think
came
it's
to
best
this,
to use it.
I thought,
And I've been working with
I
Dave.
thought it did, did you look
If
into it some more?
we can.
I will.
Lori,
Because they called me and asked me,
Lori, yeah, she might.
I know that she did the grant, but they called me from Dora because they wanted to know how much I had down there. No, and I said, here's what I
I know
did,
not gonna be
here's what I
tracking
like,
this.
here's what I do. I said, she made the grant,
And she left right after that, so maybe it didn't.
I don't know if it ever got
So we
purchased.
need to see if the funding's still there so we can get
Or if it was
it.
purchased in the city somewhere, I don't know.
Well, Gabe was actually gonna end up with it,
Yes.
Yeah, that's who it was.
but I don't think it ever got
Bob
purchased.
checks, I've been trying to find where we spend any money on it. Chelsea's getting it. Find it where we had the last 2 years. But we'll look at it, 'cause we need a greenhouse. So, any other questions?
What about the Toot and Totem money? Did we ever?
It's
Oh,
not over
still
yet,
going.
it's not
On the
over yet.
15th of December.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was only.
I did too, and he
in
said,
November.
December what?
No, the 15th of December is when it ends.
We're in-
3rd, but I got on Toot and Totem and I said, every time I pulled up there, it's been twice, I shouldn't say every time. It won't take a credit card.
I know.
And it's.
And it ticks me off, and she says, you have to come inside. I said, no, you calling people, come get their butt out here and fix this daggone pump, because I'm losing money, and I'm very competitive, and I don't wanna lose to Carrington where my son teaches, and that's what's happening. It's making me angry. So, we're like 6,000 gallons down, we're not gonna beat them, I'm so mad. But we're like 6,000 gallons in front of the
We've got
workplace
some
people.
Big tankers that need to be filled up.
But those two-
Fire departments.
So the last time that I looked, we have earned about
They are slow.
$3,500.
It is the
It is.
slowest
Is what we're gonna get.
We're up to $3,500.
It is very, it is
That's
very.
a pretty good little check.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, 3,500.
But next year, we're not using that
Y'all,
pump.
we're gonna get
I'm
so
getting
much
a
for
better pump.
Thanksgiving though.
And then,
We need
All
to,
these
we need to get
people
them for another pump.
for Thanksgiving, they're gonna stop.
right,
What I would like to do is I'd like to get just one semi
There you
pump.
go.
That's what-
There you go.
That's what I'd like. to do.
Yeah. One that's in one pump both sides, down the middle. Yeah.
can,
300 bucks, 300 gallons away.
can someone please make sure that there is a thank you note written to Plateau for the supplies?
Yes.
The school supplies, okay.
I have a question about the capital outlay money that we got July 1. Did y'all end up getting that? About 50,000 for Alvis and for junior high? You guys did? Are you
They
gonna
still
spend it?
haven't spent it yet, they've got it, right?
Yes. Yes.
They just gotta spend it.
Are you gonna spend it?
Yeah.
So we can get more? Okay. Cool.
If they don't
They
want to
said,
spend it,
they,
I will.
I'll spend it. They said that like if we spend it, then they'll probably get,
We
more
can ask
likely
for
to
more.
get more next
That's
year.
right.
So.
Yeah, I know we have it, they just gotta turn in requisitions, and then we get reimbursed. Any other questions?
Thank you, John. I was like, where did he go?
Any questions for? Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you very much. Board communications, NMS
so far just have the two going. Gus is going for that one day, and you're going with me.
Well, I think they can go and be sworn in too.
They can go?
I think they can, so I don't know if they are able to go. May is coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I thought they said that new board members can start to January
I
first.
think she
We
would.
can't start serving.
Well, here, but they can come to the training,
Yes.
but I'll get with them to see if they wanna go. That's
Well,
different
but
than-
you know what though? It wouldn't do them any good.
Cause the
they
hours won't
started on
count, cause it
January.
starts
But it is
January
helpful,
first, that's what they told
I
me.
mean, it's,
It's
You
helpful.
can go get training, but it won't
One
count.
training thing.
They
and I'll
changed
take
the
it
rule
one
and now
time,
it starts
but it's the
January
same
1st.
Every time.
but
It's
they'll,
training though.
but they will have to
But one
get
time
the
it's helpful.
25 hours. The,
Starting
you
January.
have to get
Well, I know
25
there's-
hours of training. They changed it. It's no longer 5 hours. If you're a new board member, you have to get 25 hours. But they'll make it, I think they make it, there's several different opportunities.
We talked about that yesterday in Raton, cause we had a representative from there. Cause now it's going through PED,
For the-
you know, it used to be through the school board association, now PED's taking it over. Cause then Joe used to always give you yes or no, cause I was like, we did the training, I should get credit for it, we're not PED. So that was the argument.
Well, that was the deal.
We can get some stuff done here, training here, we can get some virtual,
They'll have.
but
they'll
your
have
hours
some-
won't count until you have to get them to start January first.
That was my code deal that started.
It sure is. So that's why I didn't,
But you might check, maybe, I don't know.
I called Joe. he was,
It says they have the
You know what,
swearing
we
in
should
ceremony
go
on the
to
5th.
county, 'cause
On the agenda, swearing in ceremony on the 5th.
Yeah, so new board members can attend that, I mean, if they just wanted to go
Right, they go if they want to, that's up to, it's on December,
4th through 6th.
that's right.
Usually, everything happens.
But tomorrow's my deadline to turn my stuff in, so I have everything ready to turn, that's why.
So they're saying, yes, you guys can go,
So-
but it's not gonna count towards your training hours.
We're just waiting for Thursday.
I'm going for Friday.
Friday. I got you Thursday night.
Swearing in
staying there,
ceremony
Friday, then
and a
I put in
lunch
for a vehicle, you
and
just
an
come
assembly
pick one up when you
and a
need to.
workshop.
Oh, that's nice.
So I did that already, now I've got a vehicle for us. But if y'all want to, just let me know, you can go to it. But it's like I
So if
said,
you
it's
wanna
kind
go,
of like a
let
training.
him know.
There's gonna be some early spring,
I'll have
the
to
summer,
register
you
you.
gotta get your hours started.
All by myself.
The first year's the big one.
Yeah, I have it.
So
What about you, Barry?
Good kid.
I turned that in tomorrow.
Did they report that?
But that's why I put that on there is,
Everybody knows.
Can't change it.
and then we talked about the school report card already, but it's the,
Oh, I'll get to that.
oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
next.
So are you gonna,
Yeah, if y'all wanna go, just let me know.
Do what?
do you all wanna check into that for the training? Let him know if you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll get with him.
Yeah, give it because we've got, okay,
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
okay, so item B, 24-25 school report card. It's on your agenda.
Right, and that's what we have already discussed, it. We had the two spotlights, elementary, but we just did by the attendance. And then, of course, I knew high school, we were gonna make it, because they were down in some other areas, so they didn't count, but they were.
How does this information get out to parents and?
Okay, we just got it, and then I got it, it goes in the paper. So that's why you have to do it, that's how it gets out, is that we'll have it, I couldn't post it until after the November 13th, and then present to my board, and then it goes out to the public. And we can also send home the sheet that's going out, because I don't know if everybody reads the paper, but we have to, it will be on our website starting.
But I mean, parents get their individual scores,
Because
I
it shows,
mean, I know that this is, but I'm talking about, I'm sorry, I should have made that more clear, like
They were given out at
the
parents' teacher
PSAT,
conference.
oh,
PSAT
and
was
stuff,
mentioned.
I mean, do those get mailed out? I guess still Terry, I mean, I haven't seen them in a long time.
on the PSAT itself, I don't know that,
I don't know. I need to double check. I know now all the kids register with a phone number and an email, and they got notified when their score was ready. And I've had a couple,
Why is the parent overlooked in these? Because.
and that's what I'm saying. I'm not
And I'm
100%
talking
sure.
about the, not you all, but the test itself.
They just, yeah, it's directly with the kid. I'm not sure. I really don't, I'm not sure.
I wonder if that's something you request before you take it.
When I was the counselor there, we would, they would send us a paper report eventually, and we would get a school report and a parent report to file. And so we would eventually send home a parent report. I don't know if that still happens, because that was years ago, but probably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
we
receive it,
absolutely
we should
can.
Give every parent, because that's, yeah.
Because I want to say we got the scores. I got the scores last week. I think is when I got them, when they sent the full report to me.
Right.
So
See, the paper got hold of me wanting to know, you gotta put this in the paper, we know, and so I contacted, because it's always, it was supposed to be in the paper before November 13th, but now, you don't get your, like, they just made it public. And usually they tell the superintendent, I can tell my school before they make it public, so it's just now made public, because it's got the website that you can go to for that. That's why it should be, well, it should have been in today's paper, because I sent that to them.
Okay.
How do we compare to other like, schools in our district?
We did, like, you know, what I told them, said, we're off for this year. Sorry. I mean, and then I think Des Moines had 2 spotlights, right? So somebody just had, yeah. So we did, you know, for bigger, we did better. I mean, the smaller schools usually do it because they don't count a lot of their stuff because the numbers. But we did, for our area, the Dolphins were all, I got to sit yesterday
It was
with all the
big.
superintendents and kind of puff up my chest that we were like,
And I mean, we're right there.
That's
I mean,
it.
spotlights
yeah, we are,
are-
as you look at it, because right,
That's great.
so then we got to, but we're gonna get back up to 60. I was trying to explain to them,
Yeah.
you gotta be above 60 to have it, to be able to do it.
I did not know that attendance and all that had anything to do with it. I thought it was just like test scores only.
Then they hold those, yeah. Yeah, it's just the little things that they, like, graduation rate was 77 point. If you look at the one, like, last year's was good. I mean, this is 2 years, was graduation, you got 90, 91, and 89. But if you look at the one that I should have brought the one that we put in the paper last year, it was 77. And I know if you get below 80, that's gonna knock you out of it. So we had the graduation rate at the high school again, 60, and up to 60, then we got it right there. Because we had 60 before, 2 years ago, we had 60. I go, why didn't we get it? And that's because we were below the 80 on the graduation rate.
Those math percentages are crazy low though, right?
Yeah, and you,
That's bad.
they're bad, but we're both, that just blows my mind away, how that,
But that's above everybody else.
that's above everybody else.
That's bad. That's super bad.
Yeah. And that's the whole state, I'm talking, that's the whole state.
Yeah.
But, the governor and all of them use, the whole state's language rights went up. So they're taking credit for the letters, because I think that did help, teaching the phonics and the stuff. But the state, overall, the state's ELA scores
Well,
really raised, and they've got to do that math.
maybe there's a point with getting back to traditional teaching.
And the state's starting to do the same thing they did with making teachers go through the letters and things like that. We're gonna do that with math. And, but like the lady that's coming out, her again, that's our next step in the state, is help us get the math up. So,
Well, we're up for math adoption
right.
this.
Oh, and I
this
should,
cycle.
yeah, and we didn't bring up, the math adoption, our region, and I gotta give credit to, it's not Simran, it's the lady, Maxwell. She's one that said, we used to bring all the book people here and let our teachers come in and let them study, because it's really, that's the only one that does it. So I said, I'll send Clayton. So we're sending our teachers, doing secondary in the morning, elementary in the afternoon, and then they're going December 9th?
Yes.
Right, and then I just found out yesterday, that's just for them to all talk, and let's say, here's which ones do y'all really want me to bring in to really talk to y'all? So I thought that was neat, then they get to go back and then they'll bring all the supplies. And we're gonna narrow it down to what the number one is, but each school's still gonna pick which one they want. So I thought that's good, to get all these math teachers together so they can all talk in our region, because we wanna raise our scores and help each other on math. So that was really good, so we're bringing that back, and that's something, so that was good, so we gotta get a good math resources, math. So I'm excited that we're doing all this extra work to get somebody up there to help us, because I'm just used to coming from another one where your REC really helps you, helps all your schools, because they want the higher region to do it, so that's, yeah. we talked about the textbook adoption, that our teachers need to really pick the best one and let them go sit, because that's the one that you're teaching with them.
Well, surely there's enough resources for them if they don't like what they have now, I mean, for them.
Right,
But there are some better resources.
but I like one of these because they'll give you all these free samples from all of them and start using them now.
And we've got, I know the high school got 3 or 4 different books for Cindy right now, and so
Most
good.
of it, but she goes a ton of free math adoption stuff, you can get it by the box load for like all different ones. So the teachers have those in their hands right now, because every time they come in,
And I've been getting more requisitions from that stuff.
Well, but I think it was like 2 years ago that we had teachers sitting here telling us that they did not have the resources they need for math. And it was for, I think it was Albus and Kaiser. Right? Do you remember that? A couple years, there were, about 2 years ago, we had teachers here telling us they did not have the math resources they needed at Albus and at Kaiser. I mean, maybe they ordered them.
I don't know if it's necessarily
Our response
resources.
is like, why not?
But the curriculum we've had, it got adopted in 2020, when we were in COVID. And so it was iReady Math, which was really geared toward online learning, right? And so it was like, okay, we picked this and we're learning, there's no spiraling, we're not hitting on those core concepts. I went through a deep dive with 3rd and 4th grade teachers to figure out, we're assessed 30% of fractions in 4th grade, but our curriculum only hits on it for 1 week in unit 1. You know, and so we learned 6 years later, unfortunately, but percentages show you, and a curriculum's only as good as is a curriculum, right? I mean, there's other things behind that, not just the curriculum itself, but we know where the gaps are. I can speak for Albus, so when we go to adoption, we know this is what we're looking for, this is what our kids need, because we know, I mean, you have to know what you're being assessed on. You know, I don't wanna say teach to a test, but you gotta know, you gotta get those.
There's a reason why that's on the test, too. You have to trust the process in order to.
Well, with math is so hard, cause it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and if you're behind, like, you know what I mean, a little bit at the bottom, you can't move on, you know what I mean?
But you're getting passed on because it's social
Right.
promotion and you're right. I mean, until you get to high school.
When you get to high school,
And
we
then
don't do that.
oh,
But yeah, you get behind, you stay behind, especially in math.
And I
And
think,
that's, the bad part is that you're right, when they get to the high school, if you can't add, it's hard to do subtraction. And multiplication, division,
You've
algebra.
been just passed on your whole life.
Absolutely.
Literally,
And then when they get here, then we say, sorry.
too late. It's almost too late.
that was when computers really came into classrooms using COVID. Because before COVID, I mean, laptops were not in every student did not have a laptop. Where I was, it was no COVID yet.
All right, anything else on the school report card? Okay, transportation, Ms. Jeffrey.
I have got a lot of stuff to share with you guys, and I'm gonna try
I gotta go
to
home.
not be so long-winded. I'm Gail Jeffrey. I know most of you here, there's some of you that may not know me. I've done transportation stuff before. I started driving a school bus and as a contractor in '95, and then, because he got the contract a year, about maybe a few months or something, and then I come in and somebody else had given up their contract and I did an RFP, and so I was awarded that. So anyway, Mike and I were kind of co-contractors together. So I guess I'll just start off, I'm gonna hand you guys some of this stuff so that you can go along, and I tried to put tabs on it so that I'm not telling you turn to page 5 and you can just reach and grab. And,
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
Tabs are impressive.
thank you.
A lot of time on there.
that's old
I
school.
do that a lot.
That's old school.
I like, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I got tabs on my computer screen. Sticky
Point
notes.
here to turn
Might be
it on.
sticky notes.
And your calendar.
And my calendar,
It is best.
and my desk.
For you,
I'm a sticky note guy.
and I'm gonna give it to you guys.
It's all cool for the wind
You
blows.
probably know what it is.
Or I forget what I wrote. I forget what I wrote. Why did I write that down?
Are you right? This pamphlet, or whatever you wanna call it, it's standard for providing transportation for eligible students. It's the state statutes for PED through their transportation bureau. And it covers pretty much everything about school buses, school bus routes, activity bus drivers, activity buses, anything that you wanna know, it's pretty much gonna be in here. And there's also some, additional subsections, I guess, that they put in to kind of support what they're doing here. I highlighted some of this stuff. It talks about up at the very top, the LEA, that's us. And then this McKinney-Vento Act, that just has to do with homeless children, protecting them. Just making sure that they have just as many rights and stuff to get education as anyone else. Down towards the bottom, this is where we start getting into some of this stuff. It's like one of these things, you talk about math, building and building. I started out with this, and it's just never ending. Eligible students. Eligible students, it is any student that is, they are eligible for transportation if they meet certain criteria. And one of those is for determining if they have a hazardous walking condition. A hazardous walking condition is, number one, we have it running right through our town. It's a railroad. If there's a railroad track, it's a given. They're gonna get, if they have to cross that, they are gonna get a school bus transportation services. Then you get into walking distances. A, B, and C. And I've already locked horns with some parents since I got this job, because they only lived about 2 or 3 blocks from the school, and I told them, we can't give you transportation services because you don't qualify. And I guess you could say it gets worse. But anyway, it's 1 mile one way for students in grades K through 6th. 1.5 miles one way for students in grades 7th through 9th, and 2 miles 10th through 12th. Now, students with IEPs and 504s, if it's written in their plan, they qualify. Turning to page 3, it talks about the school bus route. Should the typical number of students on a school bus route drop below number of 10? You have to have 10 children, 10 students in order to qualify or to determine if they get a bus route. You have to have 10 children. You can let that dwindle down, and you can hang on to that bus route, because that's what I'm trying to do right now. We have a bus that is picking up 2 children, and they live very far apart, so the bus is going and doing a big loop and coming back around to pick up child number 2. And Ted is not happy with that. They don't like that. They want to do away with that bus and go with on a different route, and we'll come to that in a little bit. So as long as you have 10 children, you can establish a bus route, and then once it falls below that, you can still hang on to that. But if you ever dissolve that, you have to have 10 children again in order to establish that bus route. So it's very important to not do away with the bus route. Bottom of page 3, I just highlighted that because it was just something, that's just what the board, you can go on and on with that stuff. And then, I'm just trying to touch on some of the stuff that I felt like was worthy of talking about. On page 6, responsibilities of LEA, they're to designate a transportation administrator, verify qualifications, the proper training, and by a qualified trainer. I was an SBDI for Des Moines School District for several years, so that's how I'm very familiar with transportation stuff. I think Bryce Victory does a very good job. He's the SBD out here at the school, and he's knowledgeable about his stuff. He does a good job. He really gets into it. He has done our in-service, and he did a good job with the in-service. He kept it interesting. On number 7, on page 6, this is one that I have had a request from another bus driver. The LEA shall provide to transportation service providers and drivers vital emergency information for all students with an IEP or special medical conditions. All vital emergency information shall be treated as a confidential record as provided by law. I know FERPA falls in here big time, and if you've got a bus driver that's careless with their paperwork, and they have some of that information and they let it be seen where it shouldn't be seen, I can understand, and I do understand the importance of it. There is a student on a bus that the bus driver suspicioned something was wrong medically, and they did not know about this. And so, hence the reason for me bringing this up, just so that the bus drivers are aware, maybe not necessarily have the paperwork, but at least let them be aware of the children's medical conditions, whether it be anaphylaxis to dust or anything, just let them know. Then on number 10, and this comes up a lot. It says that this stuff needs to be reviewed, and the review cycle shall not exceed 5 years. Do you know when this was done? How many years has it been?
Dr. Isaacs
Dr. Isaacs, okay.
was the superintendent.
Okay. So it's been some time, and it's supposed to
3
be,
pictures ago. Should be 3.
3
Should
pictures.
be
Show
something.
them the pictures. And then,
Not
on
Tennessee.
page 7, 2 and 3, it just talks about having information available to parents and guardians and students. I think Clayton does a very good job. I think Clayton makes themselves very available. I had a parent one day complaining because they didn't know that it was, I don't remember what it was. Nobody told me there was an award ceremony. My child got an award. I said, well, did you talk to your child and ask your child when they might be, you know? Well, the school doesn't let us know these things. And and another one was early release. I just went to the school's website, I printed out the calendar, and I said, here you go, it says early release right there. Where'd you get this? On the school's website. And so it's the absent parent, it's not the children, it's just absent parent. And then it also talks about shall not exceed 5 years. Then we go to page 8. Policy shall also include information regarding unloading of that student when returning the student to their school bus stop when a parent or guardian is not present to receive the student. Clayton's got a very good policy, I think, better than what I was familiar with before. I think they do a good job on that. On number 8, it talks about a heat advisory. I have to understand where these statutes come from because it's hotter than the hinges of the devil's house down there. And so when school buses are lined up at the school, state statutes says they need to be so close together, one behind the other, that it keeps people from walking between the buses. Engines off. Well, they made a little exemplary here for excessive heat warning. Buses can have their engines on with the air conditioners on. If they had as cold a weather as we have up here, they might have put something in there about cold, but they didn't. So, then on F, this is where PED, I was told even by this, they operate on safety, efficiency, and economics. economics. So it's all about saving money with them on, and I know you guys know this, it's like preaching to the choir. Page 15. This is where schools have gotten in some trouble over this, because whenever you have more than 18 people, you have 2 Suburbans, 9 per vehicle. If you have 19 people, some schools are taking 3 Suburbans. You cannot do that. If you have 19 people, you have to take a bus. Yes, because you get 1 Suburban.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
2
It is
Suburbans.
possessed.
2 Suburbans it's just creating a bigger hazard, and 3 Suburbans, it's worse, so take a bus. And I had in the past someone argue with me and say, it's more economical to have 3 Suburbans. It might be, but state statute says you can't.
That really changed the game for like a CEO driver though, where it's not a big deal to drive a Suburban, but it is a big deal to drive a bus.
And that's exactly why it was so handy, it's so convenient, because you can train a Suburban driver too, in, a few short hours, you train them as an activity driver, but to train an activity bus driver, you're looking at a lot more. Yeah, and there's not a lot of people want to be a bus driver. On page 15, I just highlighted this because it talks about being in compliance with federal, state, and department employer policies, such as speed limits, things like that. And then on page 17, pretty much the same thing, just reiterating about going along with federal policies and everything. Then whenever you go to page 26, this school bus that has the 2 students on it for Clayton, and they started pushing and saying, why don't you have a Suburban? You just have a Suburban over there. But they asked me point blank, why aren't you using a Suburban? And I said, well, because I don't have one that has this National School Bus glossy yellow, and it has all the signs on it, and the LED lights, and the backup cameras, and the inside video cameras, and I went on. And I knew and I found that here. And so there's where I highlighted, if you use a Suburban to transport students on a route, it has to be this way. And it says it may be equipped with a speed limiter, so the Suburban would have to be governed to 75. All the vehicles here have 2-way radios. Then an operable recording video camera, backup camera. A couple of these Suburbans, they're older, nice Suburbans, but they're just older and they don't have the backup cameras on it. And then this National School Bus glossy yellow, blah, blah, blah. So whenever we talk about the walking distance, I went to the courthouse and had their mapping guru make me some maps. And I teased Priscilla because we had some bigger maps made, and I asked her if she was gonna bring them and display them as a Vanna White for me. But she said no, so I may have to do that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you're welcome.
You need some people to hold them up.
When you look at these maps, you will see that I wrote on the ends of them, which
Just a few.
they're, what they represent. I tried to put an X in the center of it. You are gonna be my banana, yay! Yeah, so in a bigger version, it's just easier to see. This is the 1 mile walking, and it is the shortest distance. They said it's the shortest distance to the school.
That's 1 mile?
That
The
is
circle?
one, that is 1 mile. The circle represents 1 mile, and it's in the highlighted right here. So as you can see, it goes out.
Yeah, you're in the country.
Yes. Now that's for Alvis. That's K through 6th grade. Kindergartners, 5-year-olds. Now, they're not telling them they have to walk. Parents can take them. But they're not supposed to be supplied with
That's
that.
what we're gonna include?
This is everything goes back to the cookie
Yeah, everything
cutter,
on that side of the railroad track.
the cookie
Everything
cutter
on that side of this side of the
model.
railroad tracks though.
And we're now because we,
That's exactly what it is. They make these things up for Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Roswell, Farmington, Hobbs.
and everyone knows to.
So, and then,
What no matter what town you're in, a mile for a kindergarten is ridiculous.
Well, you would,
That's ridiculous.
They got parents who don't even get up and make sure their kid gets up first thing.
That's a mile and a half.
now this is a 1.5 mile. So it goes a little further. I mean, I even see Eric's name on here on this other one, but.
And
Yeah,
where's the airport?
this is Swex going down 402, their
Golly.
power line.
So does the statute say you cannot transport them? Or you don't have to?
If you can come up with a hazardous crossing, or if you can come up with, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
IEP 504,
Yeah, IEP 504,
it has to be.
But do they
but
say
it
you
has to be written in
can't?
their plan.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
They
do
say you
that.
cannot transport them unless all these other things.
And why this is so important is we're a 4-day school now, so they have to come and audit us. Because we
Right.
went from 5, which they're supposed to audit us every 5 years anyway. They will be here, they told us at our big meeting that they will be at all the schools that have 4 days. We know our money's gonna go down because of 4 days, but they're still gonna audit us. So, yeah, that's why it's been really important about getting all the first.
But I mean, what can you, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like, what can you do about this? I mean,
Well, the hazardous,
put a bunch of train tracks in.
yeah, the train track.
you won't even have a you won't even have a bus route.
What about like Santa Fe Drive and,
6487.
87?
Yeah, that's,
That's
she's going
not
to.
hazardous at all?
And I'll show you, I'll
56,
show you why.
412
Like,
doesn't
slow
matter.
down
There's been
crosswalks.
people hitting
Like,
kids on
text
that
them.
road.
Oh, you got a super major highway going right through the middle of town.
Well, someone was getting killed on that.
287? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, our
Who made that determination?
Because they look at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
This is one of those supplements to that very first one that reiterates about the walking distance. This is,
cut them off.
because you'll see it on that state, on the state statutes there on the 6.414. This is just one of those, I was telling you about the supplements, and it just talks about the walking and the. Oh, sorry.
Kim had a great point. What about these kids stepping in all these potholes? Breaking the paper. There's hazards everywhere.
And don't even get me started.
Mean dogs.
With water.
Super mean dogs, like that one behind the vet clinic. Have y'all seen that dog? You need to go check it out. Cause I swear one of these days that shade's gonna break and someone's gonna die.
Well, I was told yesterday, the Maxwell superintendent had to pick up 2 dogs
Yeah.
at the playground. She goes,
Hey,
thank goodness they were chihuahuas.
Dogs are a
She
sensitive
carried 2
subject in
dogs
this
and
town
they-
right now.
They're all,
But I'm
they're
saying,
a major
you need to go see
dogs.
It's
They're not,
intense.
they're owner's dogs, they just let them run and
You
stuff.
should be
And she
pissed.
said I had to go back out an hour later.
You are
This
so
is-
prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the standards for determining hazardous walking conditions. So this, and this is just a 3-page, so it's not snore
Maybe they
material.
should bring their children here and let them walk.
Right.
Can that be part of it, Paul?
So Mr. Arnold,
Oh,
sorry.
good.
You can change it.
Because there's one that
No,
lives
you're
on
fine, go
Santa.
ahead, it's fine.
I mean, do you have a plan on how we're gonna get around this?
Paul and Eric,
Um,
I'm so sorry.
Well, I just want to explain, because they'll be here.
Yes,
So,
this is
uh,
hazardous.
We get to count, and she's gonna explain that, because the highways count as long as they have so many cars, we don't let you go in.
Yeah,
So whenever they
Here's-
mention it, let's just not go get on the road.
This is what they came up with.
so on that, down here at the, on that 6.41.3, on this very front page, where it says, no school bus route shall be maintained for lesser distance than 1 mile one way for students in grades K through 6th, 1.5, it's the same thing that y'all now are getting that deer in the headlight look. The rest of us have had where it's like, oh, but this is just something, I gotta say, when I first got the job here, I thought, how is this happening? Why is it I mean, why has Clayton, how has Clayton got by? I don't know what I'm trying to say without sounding, I don't mean it to sound mean or disrespectful, it's just one of those things, I just thought, how has this happened? Because there's a bus that's, just goes just right here close, and picking up students that don't have IEPs, they don't have a 504, they have nothing, and they're healthy, and they're only just a few blocks over there from the school, and they're getting bus service, and so that was what was going on in my head. And then if you can apply for a hazardous walking condition. You can apply for it. Here's the worksheet on it. You gotta give them all the reasons why. You gotta have a lot of supporting stuff. In fact, get the police involved, where they say, hey, it is, it's, you know, this is not good, it's dangerous. Mean dogs don't count.
Dang, really?
They should, but, they say,
The city's
Call
supposed to
it.
pick them up.
That's
So
what they
told
say.
us.
that's what.
Oh.
Yep. Now then, down here under definitions on this front page, it says regulated, it talks about crossings. Regulated, a crossing site where, for the street or roadway being crossed, a crossing guard, traffic enforcement officer, stop sign, or traffic control signal is present, or the crossing site is designated and marked as a reduced speed school crossing zone. Then the unregulated is, it's that with no crossing guard, none of the above. So there's your regulated and unregulated. Then when it talks about high speed, when you talk about high speed traffic, high speed is 40 miles per hour or higher. That's what they're considering high speed. Des Moines has 87 going through them. It's 45 going through town. So anybody that lives on the north side of 87, they can live right up against the highway, and they qualify for bus service because that would be considered a hazardous crossing because of the speed.
So that's why our roads are 30 and 30, so it takes them out of being hazardous.
Could we change that, like to the,
I guess
the
that's.
bus, like the truck bypass? Anyway, I kinda like to drive faster, you know, but then like, you could have your truck bypasses be like 40, and you could have going through town like 45, and then basically the whole town's covered.
Right.
Well, who's that up to change
No one
that?
does, but it's 30. So that's
You
why
know
they're
who that
saying
is?
ours is not hazardous because it's 30.
See, what if we could change it though?
It'd be perfect, because that makes everything that's inside the loop, anything on the bypass would make it, I mean, anything on the,
This is a nightmare, this is like a spider, walking through a spider.
Please don't shoot the messenger. I love my job, by the
I think
way.
that's
I
why.
really love that.
Stay tuned.
So but
send an
here
email.
I'm thinking like, okay,
It's
so
based off
But our
of
city
data,
came
how
up
do we
with
have
this
any
sheet.
buses?
which she
I
has.
mean,
That's why
they
they determined
have
it.
any buses or any,
People in the track.
Everybody got the tracks is automatic, but they're saying, I always thought that, well, we got these, the main street and that highway, and they said, is it
Right,
over
sorry.
40 or over?
it's also the amount of traffic related to.
Right, and they did, they counted the traffic.
87.
Here is my own little
She did it from the county, they did.
I drove around town so much that people were
Now,
starting
those
to.
things like that, cars. Yeah. It's gotta be so many cars.
They thought I was checking out their homes or something to rob them, so I was doing this.
I mean, to make it, Gail, read that part about how many cars per,
Yeah, I'm.
okay, but that's what, and then we get that information because the county has to do that.
Okay, on this hazardous crossing, here it is. On the second page, up there at the top where it says the traffic volume shall be determined by the most current traffic engineering study conducted by a state or local agency. I got in contact with the DOT and they sent me where they lay their strips down, so I'll share that with you guys in a minute. We'll give that to you.
It's interesting.
So it talks about your standards for hazardous walking conditions on the second page. A, if they're walking parallel to the roadway. They broke this down, they've got this stuff down, because people like me were calling them and asking them, well, what if, and they figured out, they've got all of it. So if they're walking parallel to a roadway, if the total volume on roads exceeds a rate of 120 vehicles per hour,
Jeez Louise.
or on roads with little or no walking space, and the traffic volume exceeds 60 vehicles per hour. So if they have walking space, it's 120. If they don't, as if, let's just take for instance, West Avenue over there, the truck bypass, there are no curbs on it, it's just pavement meets dirt. So if they're walking along that and they happen to come up to some shrubs and they had to do this, well, that's where they're talking about this less than 4 feet of walking space outside of a curved roadway or less than 5 feet of walking space outside of a traveled portion of an uncurved roadway. If they're obstructed for a distance of 75 feet or more, that's where they're having to walk down the street to get to the school. We're talking for West Avenue, we're talking walking across the street because the students are going to Alvis Junior High or here. Then on B, walking across, here we go with the walking across. If the traffic volume of the street or roadway being crossed exceeds a rate of 180 vehicles per hour through an unregulated, and if you remember, the unregulated is no crossing guard, no signs, no anything, and which exceeds 40 feet. So I went around, I ordered a
It's like frog or for a kindergarten.
factory calibrated measuring wheel,
That's crazy.
and I went around town and measured, so I was the crazy lady walking around with the wheel. Kind of embarrassing at times, because people were sure giving me
Where did it go
the
get?
stink eye. And I also talked to Farron Lucero, and he told me that the streets in Clayton are 60 feet wide, as far as the, he said the ones right here around the school and stuff, and they are, because I measured them. First Street, 6487, is like 64 feet and a few inches. I just made it 65 feet. But West Avenue, it's 24 feet wide from white line to white line. And Santa Fe Drive over here, it's 22 feet wide. So I tried to figure out any way to make it where we could try to have something where we could try to classify it as a hazard, or apply for it as a hazardous crossing. Here is this is, this is where they put the little things that they lay them down on the ground. I can't think of what I'm trying to call them.
Crosswalks.
No, the LRS, the linear referencing system. That's what it is, a linear referencing system. Oh, there it is, a linear referencing system.
The little
Okay.
black,
And these little dark blue dots that you see on the circles are where they put,
Thank you.
you're welcome, where they laid these down.
The traffic counter, right?
And that's, yes, that's the traffic. This is where they put the traffic counters. Like I said, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I didn't want to.
It's incredible everything you've done, like all this.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, we will go right off that, we'll go to First Street or Raton Highway. This is the first, and I did, talking about math, I got to do elementary math and I hope I didn't flunk, because I don't want to be one of those statistics. I did some of this already, calculating and stuff for you guys, so we don't have to sit around and do it. AADT, annual average daily traffic, is what it is that I got from the DOT. And see, some more paperwork for you. So if you look at those and you add these up, of course, you can probably tell, but up here on the top, there's a location ID, 22965, and so if you look at that on this map, on Main Street, 22965, and then you go to the next page, it's gonna have that one, and the next page, and work your way all the way through. That one is out there, you can kind of see by the map that it's out there located just before you go across the overpass, and then goes all the way through town. And so when you start looking at these figures on each page, it gives you how many vehicles, like I said, annual average daily traffic, and they even figured out trucks and vehicles. I just added them together, averaged them out, and those are my figures. And the little sticky note on the front is, so there were 87,262 vehicles counted. But you have to average that because there were 10 strips. So you divide that by 10 and you come up with 8,726.2. Then I took that figure, divided it by 24 hours to come up with 363.6. Is that right? And then we calculated that, divided that by 60 minutes, so to get the 6.06 vehicles per minute. And then if you go back to that hazardous crossing where it talks about the 120 vehicles and the 180 vehicles and the 60 vehicles and so on and so forth, it's, so First Street, but on a good note, First Street,
Well, I'm ready for one of those.
First Street, only has Front Street on the other side of it. And it is regulated. It has the walk, don't walk. So if you have students, we're supposed to encourage them to go to the crossing and cross there at the stoplight. Same, well, that's another, but anyway, that's, now, I gave you that one page that tells you where the pedestrian crossing signs and stuff are, because there are some school crossing signs. When you go through town, you'll see them. A lot of them on Monroe or 56 or whatever when you're leaving town, but I'm sure that was because the Kaiser building was over there, because there's a lot of school crossing signs
There is
on-
like loads.
when you're even going towards Springer.
yeah,
There's still a bunch of school signs over there, I guess when Kaiser was, now it's the courthouse, yeah. This one is for West Avenue, because I thought, well, with it being a truck route, and somebody said the trucks go flying through there. Well, they better quit flying because the speed limit's 30. You're welcome. And I did all this, I had East Broadway, I did all the streets here that they sent me, but these are the ones that I think that should be talked about, because everything on that side of the railroad tracks is fine. Protected, or whatever you wanna call it. But whenever you look at this one, they only put one strip, on that, and it's on the south end of West Avenue, but they still calculated 471 vehicles. So when that calculates out, it's 0.33 vehicles per minute. It's not even half of a vehicle. So, and the speed limit is 30. The road is narrow. And Paul, I know, knows most of this. You're welcome to chime in, Paul, if you feel fit.
Somebody asked, when did it all change or something like that? I thought one of you asked that. When Kaiser went away as a school, because both 25 and 44 were crossing the railroad tracks, big kids up. So it made it to where you could do all that busing, because that school was across the railroad tracks.
That's a good point. See, I didn't even think
That
of
makes sense.
But when Kaiser used to get bused for lunch to the high school, you cross that railroad tracks like 16, I crossed it 16 times a day. That's probably one of your most dangerous things to do with a bus, is cross railroad tracks. So when they got rid of Kaiser and got it moved to junior high, that eliminated, except for the bus 44. And that used to be 25's route. But 25 used to pick up on that side of the railroad tracks. So when I was asked to do a route survey and then come up with, to see how and she still has all the overlays on how the buses were all intertwined, we got rid of 3 routes. Just eliminated them, they weren't hauling enough students, they weren't doing, they were crossing too many miles, we put other kids in there. As long as you don't go over a certain time limit to get the kids home, it can't exceed so long. Like, they shouldn't be on that bus for 2 hours or an hour and a half. So that's how you kind of break it up. There's so many regulations when it comes to it that, most people don't know unless you research it. But the biggest reason was because the
it. Makes
Kaiser
perfect sense.
wasn't there anymore.
If once you know the stuff, then when he said that, it makes perfect sense, because you have a school over there and a school over here, so you have to, so, automatically. Clayton was a big hazardous crossing because of that railroad track, but then whenever that school closed and put the schools over here, it
So you
decided-
continued to pick up kids that were already on this route that went across and back and forth. So we didn't discontinue getting the kids to school to make sure they got to school. That's basically.
And then this last one here is, I call it the Springer Highway, which turns in, when you're coming from Springer, it turns into to Monroe, and then Maine, and then 56 onto Boise City, or 412. I've heard different numbers, I don't know. On the total of them, there was 17,008 vehicles. But that was on the other side of the tracks. So that's why I put the blue tab to send you back here to this page and calculate up just the ones on this side, because that's the ones that we have to, that's the ones for the children that are gonna have to walk across that street from the north across Maine. And so there were 10,219 vehicles, and there were 4 strips, so you divide that by 4, it comes up with 2554.75, divide that by 24 hours, 106.5 vehicles per hour, divide that by 60 minutes, 1.78 vehicles per minute. And if you went with the whole big picture, it would be 88.6 per hour, or 1.5 vehicles per minute. Did y'all get all the papers?
Is it all in, is it per minute or is it per mile, what you researched?
What I researched on as far as stuff
Like
per minute,
vehicles.
yeah, per minute on this because of the,
And then the bus stop.
So
yeah,
it's-
and mine was per minute, yes.
That's what she was breaking.
That's what I was trying to find, thank you.
So, there are temporary hazardous walking conditions that will apply as whenever you get into construction zones, drainage ditches, equipment, and everything else. Then you can apply for the hazardous walking conditions, supply children with bus service, and then, but as soon as that's cleared up, immediately, you are to discontinue the bus use. When they're done with the construction zone, so is bus service. And as far as the walking distance, the last page on that, it just says the walking distance for each attendance center is based on the highest grade level served. So if it's 7th through 9th grade, they're figuring, well, a 9th grader can walk that.
So.
That's how I'm looking at it, because I think of the kindergartner, I don't think of the 6th grader, I'm thinking of the kindergartner.
So I mean, like you were saying, that we will have more buses within that mile and a half? I mean, would you have bus stops like on that side of town, this side, that side? And, I mean, how do you cover that? Because, I'm sorry, but a mile for a little kid and, you know, you see a lot of these kids after school walking by themselves all over. And how do you, I think the state needs to, somebody needs to like file a petition or something with the state to say this shouldn't fit all communities. I mean, because there is no other transportation for some of these kids, you know, whereas there might be another person, but
I agree with you, I agree with you. I have called them, in fact, he came in my office when I was on the phone with them the other day, and I said, is there any way that we can just, and I think I used the term squeak by, can we just squeak by until we can figure this out or something? And he said, well, that will be
I think
question
I
for
left-
Amanda.
I left her 2 messages already.
Oh, Amanda doesn't return calls.
You know what,
Dang, Amanda.
I know this sounds bad, right, but like, so you see all these, you get rid of all these buses, all these kids are having to walk to and from school, right? And then, like, that's like a predator's playground, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, all these kids walking around,
It
like,
makes it unsafe,
all
right?
alone, like, that's
Do-
unsafe.
Do addresses of registered people,
Yes.
I have that and I
She has
checked that
that
out.
done too, because that makes it hazardous and it's only been,
But you know what I'm saying?
can
like,
it qualify for bus routes? I mean, can it be?
Clayton Schools has it in their policy to, that if a child lives within 200 feet of a registered sex offender,
Okay,
they qualify.
okay.
That's Clayton Schools policy.
yeah, but
200
the
feet?
state policy.
Well, I hope so.
Any kind of local
Well,
policy.
It goes, don't shoot the messenger, please. It goes without, it's that person's responsibility to stay away from that child.
Mhm.
That's,
Oh, they're real responsible.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this because this is, I, forgive me, but you know how you do your drills on the bus? When you know that they're coming to visit and, why couldn't you have a little drill to where, sorry, we don't pick you up today because they're coming to inspect our routes.
Exactly. Send out an all call.
I know that's horrible, but they're gonna make people cheat. They're gonna actually.
Send out an all call.
with a whole slew
But
of
then-
guys that, like, drive to the-
Elvis is in the building.
They're gonna force you to like,
We just wouldn't report it and then we wouldn't get reimbursement for it is what the problem
You
is.
still run in
We could do like.
And that's another thing she had brought up is Miss Carter didn't find anybody to take her, so we're inheriting those buses next year.
Well, we could do like other communities and have fake addresses and.
So we're picking up 5 buses, which we know those are all out there, you know, those routes. We used to have more than 5 though. Right, Paul?
This is scary.
At one time, I remember reporting 11.
11, yeah.
Yeah, and I think last year we reported 8.
This is gonna hurt.
5 of them are
School.
Hmm?
It's gonna hurt.
No, yeah, 6 of them were hers. 1 was ours, 1 was Jean's.
Yes.
The way I understand it, by doing it for as long as I did it, the school can make any route they want. But if it doesn't fall under that hazardous walking condition, then it comes out of general fund. Doesn't come out of transportation from the state.
Which we can't afford.
Because they will not,
And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
100%. No,
That's
he
right.
he's correct.
Well, and how do you put a price tag on these little kids' safety? I mean, you can't, how dare they force us to do that?
They, they said, do you know how many children we're dealing with in Albuquerque and Farmington and Roswell and Las Cruces and?
Well, then figure it.
But it's
they
still
need to
super
figure out
sketchy
what
there,
this
they
is.
shouldn't have to walk in Albuquerque either, that's what Warsaw, even worse.
Right?
So to go back to your last comment that you made with the last situation, that did happen on my bus. The student said something, I immediately changed the route, took them to the door, dropped them off, and then went back and reported it, because that's an automatic report. And then all the police got involved and took care of the issue. And we continued to change that route and drop those students off at a different location.
Because you're able to drive it.
Do what?
Because you can drive it, because you can change the route,
Because
because there's a bus route, which there won't be.
If that situation occurred, which it came out to be the student was telling the truth, they're gonna do their investigation, the police are gonna come in and do their investigation.
He erred on the side of caution, which.
I immediately just changed it. You gotta use some common sense when you're a bus driver.
No doubt.
I mean, yes, I'm all for back when I drove routes, all for the children's safety. Every day.
Right. Well,
We wouldn't be a bus driver if we didn't.
No doubt,
well,
and love kids.
how sad
Because-
this is, how sad this is, that they're like backing schools in corners like this. This is ridiculous. And I hope it's brought up to the NSBA. That's what I would do, because they seem to, they've been gaining some ground, with some of their fights and
Been raining some too, so.
for local control and all of that, to where we know our,
I mean, can you,
I know, but that's ridiculous. We should get paid for it. That's,
on like a big scale of things, can you, like, get a bunch of schools together and sue, like?
Oh, yeah, it's like we did with the 4
Start a
days.
lawsuit? Yeah.
The 4 days did that,
well, it's almost like forcing,
42 of us.
it goes back to that wanting that 180-day calendar.
That's what they
We
did.
all be punished because,
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
To me,
No,
that's
you're
like
fine.
the play, is to like, get a bunch of schools together, file a lawsuit, nothing
That's
scales,
all we have to do.
New Mexico paid more than a lawsuit.
Well,
And we've only implemented just a few that really were 2 blocks
Oh,
away,
yeah.
which y'all got
and that
calls
was,
on.
that
We just- that
flogging
was
chickens.
6.
But
But it was-
you would have thought that we told them, your kids can't go to school and they're never gonna be educated. It
We're
was
still
terrible.
driving them from here to but that was only 6, wasn't it?
There was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know, we had about 5 or 6 homes
Yeah, that was it.
that were within
That
2
were
blocks.
just in a
of
few
Walmart.
blocks. We said, we really get in trouble.
But
I
that's
think we can
600
keep the
feet, the
rest of
blocks
our-
here are 300 feet. I called the city and asked them, how big are the blocks? They're 300 feet. So when you're walking 2 blocks, that's 600 feet. So when you call PED and you ask them, can we do it 600 feet and a mile?
So that's why we really, if we, and not, you and I talked to one of the same people, but we should have implemented it starting at school, before school started. We kind of, but they
People are
understood.
creatures of habit, and
Right.
they
For sure.
feel like there's the safety here. that-
For sure.
But we're through, you got some calls and stuff, and then
Yeah, we made,
We made it work, and
and the
they're,
dust
I
is
checked
settled
back
and
with some of
everything's-
them, and they got it
You're
situated.
just following the law,
Right.
that's all you, I mean.
But they were
I gave
really,
them Pet's number.
2 blocks
I wrote
away
it on
was
a piece
kinda-
of paper and I said, you call
that's a
them.
little too close.
If you can get them to change their state statutes, I'm all behind you.
We had him call,
So what
yeah,
about,
So we
like
got-
our representative and senator, I mean, has anybody made this, anything?
and we're gonna bring it up to him again, because it's not just us that's having this problem. I was talking, I brought it up, usually others like Maxwell, you know,
Yeah.
because they don't even have, I guess they're one of the smallest school districts in this whole area. Which is most, she goes, we still need bus service, and they tell us so. So she's already with me that she helped.
I mean, it's gotta be a problem at Raton, Des Moines, everywhere.
Yeah. So,
Des Moines not so much because 87 is
oh,
so
because
close to
they
the
cut the
school.
speed limit.
And most of the houses are on
And,
the other
yes,
side.
and the houses that are on that side, those kids can walk to the school without any interruption. The kids that all live, and then Des Moines gets a lot of buses. I mean, my route before I came here was, I went 21 miles one way to pick up some children.
No, I didn't grow up in
And then-
town, and I think I would have loved walking to school.
But I'd like to get the change where it's not 30, but it's 40, 40, 40, that's just a new scare.
It's dark, dark.
Because the 40 makes it, it just makes it, at least everybody on that side,
Well, that's a good point too.
yeah, but it's just
This
this
time
little.
of year, whenever it's
Yeah, the rest of
darker.
it, which we're still picking up and doing it with the
Right, it's over, it's dark, it's over.
yeah. But this time change and stuff, they're,
Exhaust. Did your lunch fail? Turn on your headlamp?
All right.
you got anything else?
Oh, yes, I handed you Clayton's Schools Transportation Policy, and I wanted to go through that with all the other information. And then I think there's only about, I think maybe just one thing after that. On page 7, Clayton Schools is in compliance as far as their policy with state statutes, because it says it right there, grades K through 6th. 1 1/2 mile, 7 through 9, 1 mile, 1 1/2, 2 miles. Talks about addressing where the students live, daycare, babysitting facilities may be transported. Their address meets the requirements for the distance. Page 8, Clayton's policy covers covers it, standards for hazardous walking conditions, it goes on through there. The temporary hazardous walking conditions, Clayton's policy's got it in there. And of course, there it goes, the application, which right here, if we had a great big construction zone going on here close and had to start supplying people closer, I'd fill out the application for the hazardous walking. But then you get all of that done, and that's why I highlighted that. It has to be approved by the state transportation director. So you can work and you can, do, but if they don't agree with it, all they have to do is say no. Now then, right there on B, it says the request shall have the recommendation of the police agency having jurisdiction. So when you do this hazardous walking application, which I don't have anything to stand on to apply for a hazardous walking condition as of right now, I just don't. I can't, that's why I did all of this other stuff, was to try to find something, a speed limit, traffic, volume, something. And, one sex offender lives 2 doors from a family. The family is an employee I believe they are an employee here at the school, not at this one, but I believe at one of the others. And that sex offender lives like 2 houses down. And, there is a bus route, there is bus service to that family's home. Other than that, there are no sex offenders that live close to where the children. And down here, as towards the bottom of page 8, that discontinuance of transportation. So if it's approved, and this is Clayton's policy, if the hazardous walking is approved, it says the transportation will be discontinued immediately. You can appeal it, but it's Santa Fe or PED has the last say-so. Then on page 9 of Clayton's policy, it's the students that would, and I don't, this is something that I never got a straight answer because I wasn't for sure. But if you have a child that lives on the other side over there that you're picking up because of a 504 or an IEP, you could have a cluster pickup, possibly, and you could transport, a cluster pickup, only at that home, only at that place. We don't have to have a sign, we don't have to have, because that's a bus stop. You could have a cluster pickup. If you have another child on the other side of West Avenue, that has the IEP or 504, you could have a cluster pickup. I've tried to nail them down, is that correct? And they say, well, you have the cluster pickups, and then they start talking, and then they tell me, well, it's in the policy, it's in the state statutes. But when you read it, no.
You can do it.
So,
They just have to
there's,
be in the district.
there's hope there, or whatever, with that. And it's sad that you have to use that to justify
For sure,
a bus.
for the rest of your kids.
Down at the bottom of page 9, this is one that I think needs to be changed because I have difficulties understanding it. And maybe I'm just dense. If the parents have not authorized that the student can be left unattended, the local transportation provider may leave the student at the delivery location. So they're saying if they didn't authorize it, it's okay to leave the student there. If they have not authorized it. The second one says, if the parents have not authorized that the student can be left unattended, the transportation provider shall not leave the student unattended. So, does that make, does that need to be revised? Okay,
It has to be a typo.
Cause that doesn't make sense.
I think the one should say have authorized. Then you can leave them.
If they've authorized it, then you could leave them, but if they haven't,
Yeah, for
Typo.
the kids, be like, all right, well.
and I don't know.
Your parents told me not to drop you off here, but get out, you know?
You just have
Some of them
to
just have to have
red line it,
authorization to drop them off, they have to tell
make
us.
the correction.
This is our
make sure we
policy?
can approve it.
Oh, that can be fixed.
I need to.
Right, that's what we're saying, we can change that.
She'll be the
But
one
you
that
have to
changes it. I did it
put
last
on
time.
the agenda and
Right.
fix it.
Okay.
That's why we just bring, we just saw that.
That's a board policy.
Okay.
But you know-
It says the same thing twice.
Okay, yeah.
So you had to do a typo.
It's a typo.
We can fix that, and so just bring support so they can approve it.
Yeah, so,
Now yes, I'm sorry.
so that's kind of why it's critical that there's at least the administrator or somebody at the school to receive that student back. There has been times when, you know, and then you take them back to the super's office and stuff like that. So
Yeah, just this past.
somebody has to be at that school to be able to receive those students.
See, in some other school districts, they have them drop them off at the police station.
That's scary for the kid. Get off here, I'm
No,
going to the
it's
police.
like, well, that, they said they were trying to make a point to that parent, I'm like, it's the, it ain't the kid's
Oh,
fault.
yeah, poor kid.
It's the parent's fault, it's not a kid's fault for them not being there. I think that's what they do in all the larger cities.
Um,
That's it. Then one of the persons in transportation brought that up to me, and I said, we're not.
On page 19, we're on, which was on, this is addressed, but it, and this is one of those things that I don't know, I've been asked by other drivers. Clayton's policy says 65 miles per hour is the maximum speed for the activity buses. I don't see a problem with that around here, on these narrow lane highways, 65 is fine. Where you run into becoming a impeding traffic hazard would be when you get on interstates, I-40 especially, I-25 when you get closer to down there. But yeah, that's 65, but state statute says federal, state, adhere to them, but it also, the last thing was adhere to your local policy, which would be this one. So this is just another one that I'm just addressing you with.
So what would you change that to the
To-
speed limit, suggested speed
For
limit?
the
Yes.
major highways.
Adhere to
So
the
as you're-
posted speed limit.
As you're changing that one, you might as well change
Yeah.
all of
And
these.
we'll bring that for y'all to look at. We noticed that we checked other school districts and
We
they,
could do this, we could do this next meeting.
right, very easily, yes.
Okay.
Right here,
But,
If you don't mind.
yes,
So, when we redid this and redlined a bunch of stuff and had the last, whenever that was, you know, that's why it says updated on June 2017, that was the last time it was looked at. There was people who wanted to raise the speed limit to 75, or the posted speed limit, leave it like the state statute says. I object to that. If you talk to Oklahoma, their activity buses can only go like 65 miles an hour. That's posted speed. That's what their state law says. Kansas has one, I think it's 65 miles an hour. Texas is the posted speed limit for a car. So if you get in some locations, you can drive 80, you can get that bus up to 80. But my biggest issue with the speed limit is I don't think you're impeding anything on the state interstates because the drivers are already going 75 anyway. But that's not the big concern. It's the front wheel failure in one of those buses. You will not keep it on the road if you have a front wheel failure. You will be in that bar ditch. It's just, you're going. So a lot of the states around us, it's already their state law that it's 65. Now, it's up to you guys whether you want to change that. Yeah, it's like going real slow, but there's no seatbelts in those buses, there's nothing. So, you know, I'm gonna have to stand up and fight for that 65 because a lot of companies that are truck drivers, the trucking companies, they have governors on their trucks and some of them can't go past 60 on the interstate. Some can't go faster than 65. Where, you know, a bus, you can be on an activity trip and you're passing semis because they're governed. So there has been board members in the past that were activity drivers that objected to the 65. But the only way you know how fast a driver's going on a trip is all those apps that they have on their kid's phone and the Waze and stuff like that automatically can see how fast that bus is going when they pull up the app and track where the kid is. So I always told drivers when I talk to guys, don't worry about me trying to figure out how fast you're going. The parents are doing it. And we've had them go as fast as 75 on the Springer Road and never license. Because they came back and the parent reported it to me. Now you're going above the speed limit. By a bunch. And to me, those souls that are on those buses are the most important thing.
well, if that's the case, then we should have those buses governed where they can't do that.
So you're hoping that you're getting, they are governed, but they're governed at like 78 miles.
Yes, they're governed in excess of that, so.
And the last time I talked about it, they weren't about to govern me at a different speed. But we're all on a new board since the last time I brought that issue up. So it's just an issue, you know, that's my concerns about it is the front wheel failure. When I was asked to take over the transportation back in 2010, Mr. Wiley said, most important thing you can do and the cheapest insurance we got is keep good tires on these buses. And people would go like, why are you changing those tires out? Well, I always use that advice. These souls that are on these buses are more important than anything.
we do that, we change our tires out.
So we change them out, I mean, we used to change them out very regularly.
Yes.
Within every 2 years, you put new tires on, so.
What's your opinion on that, Ms. Jeffrey?
You know, truly, I don't know. I could argue both sides. I could say the thing about what I was saying that the others have asked me about, you know, because you're not impeding traffic around here, and I don't not familiar enough, how, I do know that Clayton travels a long ways to football games and basketball games and stuff. So I don't know how much interstate driving their buses get. Cause that's pretty much, I would say, the only reason. I don't know of a 70 or 75 mile an hour in New Mexico, close to us in New Mexico. Now, going to Tex line, there's a 70.
And 75 on 87,
And then when you get past Tex line, it turns into 75.
70.
Maybe too, like, look at some of the policies of other school districts too, and see like a consensus of, you know, or especially ones that are so rural like ours.
And then when you get on,
I mean, that's always, that's a good rule of thumb for every policy we have, is to compare
yeah.
policies.
And then as far as like front-end failure, you have front-end failure at 45 miles an hour with that big of a machine. You're gonna go to the ditch. Now,
But
you're gonna go to the ditch a lot faster though.
Speed kills.
Whenever you're running,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I said, you're gonna get there just a lot faster whenever the fast, driving that fast. So
We shouldn't change that.
my,
That's, I mean, it wasn't a fight I wanted to fight, because I didn't agree with it.
What?
But you can have a different opinion, that's perfect.
no, like I said,
You are a new person, so-
I'm really,
I always have fought for the safer speed with the kids, but, yeah, it does take a little bit longer, takes a few minutes longer. And I've had the superintendent call and say, hey, you're running late, you need to get here. I said, well, I can go 65. Well, you need to speed, you need to get here, we need you here. And basically, like, it's 55 on the narrow bicycle, once you get past the turn right there. It's 55. I know it takes exactly an hour and a half to get the bus to Logan, and it takes exactly 2 hours to get to Carrington. It's exactly 3 hours to get, if you drive the speed, 65. 55. Yeah, it's slow. It's back like when I drove right out of high school, it's 55 miles an hour all over the street. That was the posted speed limit.
Go ahead. Just so, because we have a lot of other business. to
Okay.
do.
Then, jumping from 19 to page 23. Number 1, notes from parents to drivers authorizing the bus driver to drop off students at a point other than their regular bus stop shall not be permitted. This is something I was not familiar with at all when I came here. I was like, what are these kids were getting on my bus and handing me papers like, thank you, and I'm just, because I don't know, I didn't understand what these were. And then Priscilla had, I guess she's the one that came up with this, and she made a different color of bus pass for each campus. Yellow over Alvis, and then this color is for junior high and Kaiser, and then this color is for the high school. And I think it's great because the previous school I was at, it was just radio. Hey, little Johnny can go to little Sally's for her birthday party. Mom called the school and said it's okay. Everything was just word of mouth, by the radio, parent note. You can tell sometimes those parents' notes were forged, but I wanted to throw this in because I think Clayton's done a really good thing with these. It really, I've had students try to get on without them after I become familiar with what they were actually, the importance of them. Say, where's your bus pass? Oh, my mom called the school and I don't need one. She just said for me to go ahead and ride your bus. No, you can't get on my bus until you have one of those bus passes. Well, what am I supposed to do? Go get on my own bus? Yeah, go get on your own bus. And it's just a good thing. I had a student get on my bus and gave me the bus paper and it was to another bus. And I said, oh, wrong bus. And so they had to go back to the bus that they belonged on. But it's just a good thing that what they have is, it's a good policy. Now here, number 7 is where it talks about the 200 foot from the registered child molester. And it does say front door service may be provided for those children who reside within 200 feet. So Clayton does have it in their policy. Good thing. And
You could change to 200 feet, right?
maybe so.
To like a half a mile. That's policy, I'm down with that.
I'm just here to give y'all all this information.
I'm actually not.
Well, because it doesn't matter if you put it in your policy, state statute overrides your policy every, it
Doesn't matter, you know.
doesn't matter.
And then you're stuck.
Then on page 24, it just says, notes from parents authorizing the bus driver to drop off a student shall not be permitted. The principal is allowed. So one of the principals can give a pass or a written note, but a parent's note, because I really don't understand that. Maybe it's because some kids are forging notes, maybe, I don't know, but that was the only thing I could come up with. So there's that, and then, this is the last thing, this is, it's a school district guide on a school bus route survey, the procedures and everything, and it tells you how to design school bus routes, and, I'm giving you a thin one, because these are thick. Some of those, oh, I gave you two. Just felt like you could read with two hands. Okay.
Thank you.
There's you. And I just tried to go through here and just kind of highlight little places where I thought. The first one, on the first tab, it talks about feeder routes, kind of describes them, what they do. When you've got too few students to run a bus, a feeder route, and you can do it 2 or 3 ways. You can have a small bus go pick up on your longer distances, and then bring those children to a big bus when it's coming along, and they drop off and they pick those kids up and then take them on your campus. Yes, or you can have Suburbans doing the same thing, going out to remote areas, picking the students up, as long as that Suburban meets the construction standards. And the driver is a trained activity driver. A school employee that is a trained activity driver. Then they can use those feeder routes and bring them to a bus or bring them to the school. You can also have parents drive, and this is another thing which in this part I was going to get to. You can have parents come off of these roads because you have a bus that goes. I don't know what the farthest place is. Pasamonte? Is the Pasamonte the farthest route that a bus goes?
I think
Around
that's-
here?
What Shirley said.
How long, and
Really, it's further than like the Braxton Road or anything?
there's nobody on the Dry Cimarron anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
Probably
that
is
one
us.
must be, yeah.
So how long are your children ride the bus?
Yes, ma'am.
How long are they on the bus?
They usually get on at 6:15, and I think they get there at, I don't really know,
It's
7,
40 minutes,
huh?
40 minutes one way.
33.
I just dropped some kids.
That's what you drive from the bus, probably from.
Well, bus, yeah, 45 minutes probably,
Okay.
an hour.
Okay, because it discusses that in here, so. Then, the number, the number 2 tab. The number 2 tab is on, route designs. And it says the single most important tool needed for route design is an adequate map or series of maps of the school district or the transportation service area. And Priscilla has this in her office, and it was actually, she had requested this, and it is, we had the drivers come in and route their maps. There's county maps, and then there's city maps of their, I don't know if y'all can see it from back there. Sorry. We had them map their routes out, and we have the bus numbers on there. This is the bus that just has 2 children, and he goes out on 87 from Clayton, and he hits Royce Road, and he goes all the way in on Royce Road, and then he goes up to Campbell Road, comes across, drops down to Alamos, just to Alamos Road, and then he comes on down here, hits 370 and comes on back to town for 2 children. And that's why it hits Squealing on that. So we might have to look at a feeder route on one of those.
How many miles round trip is that?
We haven't done the miles on that yet, have we? But it's,
We've only had that route just a couple of years because finally somebody moved out there, right?
he just
I
had
didn't
one,
know that.
didn't he have just one child?
Just one for a long time, or not a long time, but the last couple of years, right?
That puts my kid out there.
Yeah, last year was
Yes,
one.
and see, and if you think about that, then you think, okay, well, we've got 2 children out there, now we get a family of 4 that move out there, so now you're up to 6 kids. And then you get somebody else, and then, I mean, it takes a while to build up to 10 kids, and that's why it's so, important to not do away with that route, because if you have another family move out there, it's wonderful to have the bus. This is bus, 24, and it starts way out there on Gap Road. I don't know if y'all know where Gap Road is, but it's way the heck out there, the Blue Front area. And he starts there, and he comes all the way in on like Thomas Highway and then up 402.
He starts it,
Yeah, he has, yeah, he lives there, and I guess he must have some grandchildren or something that live there with him. But then we have the town maps where they can route their maps, and we have them do them in different colors, the AM route one color and the PM route another one. And then by studying these, I won't bore you with the rest of this, but I just kind of wanted you to get a hint. And Priscilla does have these hanging in her office, so she can, they're available at any given time in case a route changes or something, then we can have them come in and change it. If there was anything else on that that I was supposed to do? Okay, then, the next tab, it just starts giving you questions. Is there any overlap or duplication in bus routes that serve the same school facility? I think right now we have 4 buses that are, in a way, they're overlapping each other, kind of following each other on a road, going down to where this one bus could go because it's picking up in this area, and that bus goes down and just gets one student and comes back out. So we've got some of that going on. Just that in a minute. And is adequate supervision provided in the school loading areas by the building staff? I think Clayton does a great job. They've got guys standing out here whenever we unload and load back up in the mornings with the buses, and then we get to elementary. Someone comes out in the mornings and receives the children. We're not allowed to open the bus doors until that person gets there. And then they receive the kids and send them in the school. Junior high is the same way. They've got crossing guards, they got people with stop signs, they got colored jackets. I've seen Miss Gaither out there in her bright vivid yellow with reflective tape and stop sign, and they stop in traffic and everything. So I think Clayton does a great job. At first I was like, what is all of this? But when you start realizing it's a very good thing. The next page, this is kind of where I was asking you about this number 10. Are any students spending more than 1.5 hours on a one-way trip to and from school? I'm sorry, not that I know of, because, I don't think there's any, there's no families down at Gracie Lawn or anything like that that's.
Cause Deacon,
Yeah, because you got Jordan Road and Ringbone, and they're on the way out to where you're at.
that's all yours, yeah.
Yeah, the first
What
and
time you get
last.
on the bus, cause I ride I try to ride the buses in once in a while too, so.
I'll find out though. Find out though.
We just gotta make, yeah, it's,
Okay, because if they are, you know, in excess of amount of time, that's whenever you start telling those parents that live closer to town, you bring your kid out to the highway and meet the buses that's coming from the Pasamonte or something like that, so that those children don't have to stay on that one. 1 year at Des Moines, the superintendent allowed me to reverse my route, my bus route, because as any bus driver knows, the closer you get to the school, the longer you have to wait for the children. You get way the heck out there in Timbuktu, and they're ready waiting for you when you pull up in the driveway. And then you get closer to school, and when the closer you get, the more you have to wait. Pretty quick, you're, you know, a mile from the school, you got the parent telling you this, and you're just like, come on, these people have been on there this long, and you've had plenty of time too. So, now number 13, are buses transporting less than 10 eligible students? We'll go back to that little scenario, we don't need to hammer that anymore. Next page, on number 11, does the number of passengers justify the size of the bus used? Kind of goes along the same thing. Are you using a 72 passenger bus to pick up 5 kids? If you are, or 10 kids, let's just use the correct number. Why are you using that big of a bus to pick up that few students? Use a smaller bus. And then are bus routes established upon the basis of safety, efficiency, and need, not patron convenience? And that's what we're not, it's not a convenience. You're not doing patron convenience, you're supplying bus service, blah, blah, blah. And then I think the last thing that I was gonna give, I had a couple of places that I was thinking of doing some cluster pickups until they kind of put the kibosh on me the other day, but this is the contact numbers for the people in the transportation department at PED. And the very top person, Amanda, is she's the head hot dog.
She impossible to get a hold of?
I don't know.
I've left.
Mr. Umholtz says
She's been pretty busy, used to be Consuelo for many years. She was I always got hold of her, but it seems like Amanda's always busy. But so I'm gonna get a hold of her, cause I'm sure she's gonna let us do this. Have a good report for us to finish out the rest of the year.
I did, that is the one thing I was gonna tell you, I did ask them, I said, can you please just let us squeak by this year, and then we'll do some, it'll give me the rest of the school year, and then this summer to, calculate some routes and reroute some stuff, and bus routes, in my opinion, no, they're not gonna go away. They may have to lessen the number of buses, but you still got all these students that live out of the country. You still got that Hayden route, you still got the bus that goes to Boise City. You've got 2 buses, one that goes out on the Springer Highway and then takes Moringa Road and goes up in there, or they can go to Mount Dora and go south, because there was a student that lives there south of Mount Dora. I think either that student drives in or maybe they move. I don't know the scenario there, but, so there's a bus that goes that way. I've tried to figure out a way to put students on this bus that has the 2 students. And what I was gonna do is have him pick up out there, and when he came back to town, do a cluster pickup over here on the north side of Main Street. But whenever they said, those children can walk, it kind of put a.
You guys pick up kids in Greenville? Sorry, you guys pick up kids in Greenville?
Grenville has Des Moines. There's a school bus driver that lives there in Grenville, Carl Wingo, and he.
Oh, I thought, is Greenville the line where our district cuts off?
That is a very good question. I don't have a map. I've even asked Priscilla, where is a district school map? It's funky.
It's really,
Yeah,
it goes,
like a little.
cause I was talking to the
I've
ones,
never
they
seen
get,
There used to
they
be
get
one
those.
superintendent's office.
Okay, I've never seen a school district map.
Well, we can get one at the courthouse from Devon Fields.
It's in the-
Do they have one there? Oh, okay.
It's that map.
It's the black border.
Oh, yeah, it's in.
Oh, it's that one, and the paper's about the color of one of those
Yes.
things.
It's in.
It's so frail and fragile, if you touch it, it crumbles. Yes.
Yeah, there's a little
That's the
corner
one
of
you
it.
must be
I don't know, but they have to get approved for that. They had to send it off to Ed to get it.
She ain't never called back or anything. I heard from her.
Do you wanna add anything?
I've had it way too much.
She's gonna come out here.
I should've just kept my mouth shut.
No, you shouldn't have.
I like your staff,
She sent me an email to,
I forwarded you that.
yes.
And I should have come out and see us.
I tried to call, I couldn't reach out.
But I just thought I forwarded it to you.
It's it's to get a new daycare facility, but I couldn't get it.
Well, so, I mean, it seems to me like this all boils down to money. And so, I mean, you can't put the price tag on the kids walking to school and stuff. So can we not, I don't know, surely there's grants or something available out there funding, I don't know.
I think we need to like band together with other schools and like,
Yeah, we're not, or call these people, leave them a ton of messages, but
And that's why when the parents call out, we give out these numbers, you please call Ed about your concerns. Because they're like, hey, brother, that's not them, but we give them out, just say, call, but then we're Clayton.
Gail, you did a lot of hard work. Thank you.
Mr. Owens, transportation money, they do it based on mileage. I got an idea we should
Yeah,
definitely talk
that's what we
about.
said, we're gonna fix it, and we still pick up.
Yeah,
We just gotta, the buses that go way out, we just gotta make sure you have clusters when they come in and pick up in those areas. And like, we do have IEPs, and we'll do some more 504s for certain kids. But we do some of those things. So we gotta play the game, we'll put those clusters and say there's a 504. If there's one there, it just means there's a cluster. When we get paid by mileage.
It's a cluster, all right.
Is that, the main thing is the mileage. And that's like I said, we're taking over Shirley's.
It doesn't
she's got
matter
all
how
these-
much you
her
put that
buses
over,
are
I'm
out.
gonna get it.
So I think she should want to commit to 5 years, because you have to commit, so we got about, how many buses do we have to buy? The Shirley's over-
9, 8, because that one that got
Count Shirley's and all.
she still hasn't heard back from.
So we've got to
anybody.
buy for Nick, we got to order them in January.
It'll either be 8
That's when
buses or 9 buses, and she's replacing 4 small
Four.
buses.
So we're, about how many total we got to do for next year, that's what I'm saying, 4 for
Beside-
her.
4 for her and
How many buses do we have to replace here? Any?
none, because that 26 that's sitting over there on the corner, it's still got 2 more years left.
So we'll have to, now we get.
so many years you have to replace it, no matter what.
After 12 years, they go out of service for to be used on a route, a regular route bus, but you can still extend that out to 20 years and use it as an activity bus.
So we've got that coming up, we'll be talking to you about that. Any other questions? We'll go to our next thing. So we got, we'll be very creative. Still pick
Okay,
up where you.
any questions?
Thank you guys for your patience.
Thank you for being so thorough, that's amazing.
My head is exploding now.
Your what?
My head is exploding, I can only imagine.
It's intense.
do you need Gowan back on? He said he could get back on if we need him.
I don't know that we need to.
Okay.
Well, was he gonna say something about the action item on vacancies?
No, the banking, because I can tell you what he said, it was just like last time.
We're not there yet.
Oh, yeah, when we get there, I can tell you what he said again, because he went back and checked a few things, so I can't tell you what he
That's
said.
up to him. There's just one bar, I don't know if he needs to explain the bar or not. Ask him if he needs to.
Oh, I can explain the bar, because I'm the one that put it in this one.
Great.
Okay, then I guess, I'm gonna close this.
Okay. I think when my computer died, it booted him out.
Okay,
I bet
so
you.
moving on to financial matters, consideration and approval of financial reports.
And And on that, yeah, do you have any questions on that first part, cause I can talk about the ball.
Well, the next, will be.
Yeah, I got a question. Well, what's up with the budget, like, the deal? What are we doing here?
So we're on the first section.
Just what we spent, do you have any questions on the budget, what we spent?
It seems like we spent a lot more than we did last year. Is everything like, we're good though?
Right,
Yeah.
we got a little bit more money to spend because of things we had to do, so,
So we have more
yeah.
through
So
the,
that's
on
all
4
we
day
had.
a week.
Right,
Okay.
so we're still staying within our budget of what we budgeted, this was a big month, or this October was a big month, cause, you know, we had a lot of activities going on, and we had the money to do it, so.
Okay.
But it was, got finally the 40-day got it, but they questioned us, cause, Cassie, make sure I'm right here. How many kids did we go down?
Oh, 46.
It's gonna be next year's, next year, we were down that many kids from here.
From 40 day to 40 day. From 40 day last year to 40 day this year.
Was, like, she's got a question, was it absences or was it?
No, that's enrollment. That's not attendance, that's enrollment.
We've lost 40 kids?
So that's
since
what we
last
would bring
year?
up, that's gonna affect next year's budget, because we're going off of this.
Now,
This year's too, but we
one-
went down.
One of the places that big numbers change, and Chelsea, please correct me if I'm wrong, we had 26 in pre-K last year, and we have 16 this year.
Yeah, no, we had less last year pre-K.
I
This
thought-
year I have 22. Last year, we have 26 slots, and then last year we had 26 slots, and I only had like.
Cause they
Oh, so I went
worried about
backwards.
that.
Well, when he said the number at the high school, I was like, 108.
That's
Man,
all we
we're
got.
almost down to
One X.
1A.
I thought it was probably absences.
No.
It's 40 days for your
Well,
enrollment.
and is that is
It was down
affecting our
13
recreation?
from that.
That's how that
Spotlight was?
Mhm.
dropped, that,
What was that year from?
that affects your graduation.
From last year.
Financial report.
It was down.
So that's what that's about. Anything else on the
It was
financial?
128
Then I'll talk about that.
I moved to approve the-
Yeah.
Sorry.
or whatever, or 122.
100, yeah, we were like sitting at about 120 last year.
He said it was 100.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial reports. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Financial report is approved. Consideration approval of, we only have a bar, not a transfer.
And, okay, Rick, what's the bar read there? Cassie, read that.
It says flow through only, maintenance and repair buildings and ground,
What was the amount?
100,000.
Okay, that's what I was talking about earlier, that we got, everybody got $100,000. So that's, and it says, but it's earmarked for safety only. So I put in cameras, window tinting, anything to make the campus safer. Like, we finished the wiring out to the football field, we didn't have internet to do our, but that was safety, but we should have that out there, so it's gonna be able, so we got that money that came in. So all the school districts got it, that's what this bar, and it was good, because I think that one, they've already put the money in our account, but you still had to approve it. But this is one of those deals they should have, they had too much money. Kinda like what we did a few years ago, y'all done it twice, because we did once here when they gave us that 250, because it's maintenance, and then they put maintenance and security, so we got, which was a good thing, we just now got $100,000, that's why we're wanting to approve this bar. It just came through, and I just filled it in last week, that's how fast this went through. So it's $100,000 for.
Madam President, I move we approve the bars.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bar. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Bar's been approved. Action item, banking services for Clayton Municipal Schools.
And as you talked last time, they're even, they're kinda even, I think, one bank is 0.01 lower, I mean, higher on giving us money back, and then the other bank does more benefits on that. So he said it's just board's choice, because these are both, he would, go, so that's just up to the board. If you wanna do, like he said, you can do move all the funds and stuff, you can move part of it, it's up to y'all. But that's why he said that this was, and y'all, and you brought up some good points last time, so it's just a board vote.
I mean, I feel like,
Tell me about your points.
Yeah, bring us back with.
I did, well, last time I just did some quick math on it, I think, last year alone, or it was the year before
Oh,
last.
you showed us that.
Last year, year before last, the Bank of Clayton would put like 56,000 back into like the economy, whether it be like for the schools. I mean, those scoreboards they donated alone was $40,000. I mean, I think whoever's gonna boost your economy, helps your kids, helps everything. So personally, I think we should go with the Bank of Clayton all the way across the board, but that's the way I feel.
And I did go, I went this year to ask if they would help pay for the beginning of school, and I was told UC Bank doesn't do that. I said, okay, so then, I went to Clayton Bank, and they, of course, they were there, and then got some other people in town, so. But I noticed they did do your golf thing.
Both banks did our golf.
Right.
The nice,
But that's just what I mean, cause I was kind of thrown back, but they've always,
And how much?
that bank's always done in the past, they've always done it.
and the nice thing too is like, if you call the Bank of Clayton, you can talk to a human being. You know what I mean?
In Clayton.
It's not that way. Like, I mean, like these other banks aren't that way anymore. Like you're not, you get a phone call about a quick question or some bill or something like that. Like, good luck. And to me, that's a big deal.
Well, you don't, and the pain of switching your routing number and your cards and everything else every 2 years.
Yeah, because, and I do admit, I have gone through changing banks and going to them, they come out and Bank of, I guess it's, well, I should say Bank of Clovis, that has all these, they come out and do it for you. It's unbelievable, this service, because I've experienced, because I just did that 6 months ago, and it was easy. When I was here before, we moved money from one bank to the other, and it was hard, moving it. But we're already, if we do switch, I think it's gonna be a very I mean, we haven't, we have to buy all brand new checks again, so we've been doing
Thank you
temporary
for everything.
checks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
So we've been doing temporary checks, because I don't wanna spend all that money, because you have to vote so many, we're getting that, so. Yeah.
Madam
That's
President,
it, y'all.
Madam President, I move that we move our banking services for Clayton Municipal Schools to the Bank of Clayton.
It's been moved and seconded to move banking services for Clayton Schools to Bank of Clayton. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Banking services for Clayton Municipal Schools will be moved to the Bank of Clayton. Updated school calendar, December 18th will change from half a day to a full day.
And the reason is we were off, we should have done 7:7, even though we basically do start school at 7:55. If we'd just done that, those 5 minutes would take the half a day, and, we wouldn't have to go next Monday. So make sure next year I put the 7:55, picking up those 5 minutes each day. We didn't do it, they're not gonna let me change it, so they said you're short 4 hours, you need to make that a full day. So that's what that was about. So they went back to recalculating, even though they approved it before, but as we noticed. So you have to have, that's why I had to get your approval, and we've already discussed, so. We're a 4-day school, so there's, so that's why I had to get your approval, even though they've already got me submitted and cleared me up. That's why we just had to have your approval on that change. Anytime that calendar change, you have to approve it.
Madam President, I move that we approve the, change to December 18th for change from half day to a full day.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move December 18th from a half a day to a full day. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So the 18th will be a full day instead of a half day. Items suggested for future meetings.
Did you get all the stuff with bus stuff?
I wrote it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the changes we're
We're
gonna
gonna
do.
bring
Yes.
that back to you. We're gonna
Besides
bring
the
you
65
back
miles
the
an hour.
updated
I just put bus
manual.
policy changes.
We'll put that in there.
What about, summer rec? We got an update on that, or what, if we can get that approved or whatever?
No, I think we're gonna do it, so.
Do you,
So-
do you need us
The
to
money,
approve
though.
anything, or?
Well, but So the.
We just have to get our budget put together, bring that,
Financing.
we have to bring the finances to you to approve it. Because part of it comes out of this year's budget, then the next year's budget. I can find the money to bring to y'all to show you.
You think that we can like do it without the city or the county's help and all that?
And our business manager can, and they can be the,
Fiscal agent.
fiscal agent. We've already talked to him about that. Okay.
Great.
But that's the big, that has been the biggest part. Okay, that's great.
Do you think Justin can come talk about the Chromebook thing
Yeah,
and the YouTube and
we
stuff
put that
like
on there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. So
You
we got
probably have
plus
like
that
the
you want.
data or whatever.
Then we'll get a budget together, but you still, I need you to approve the budget. I'm looking for the money to find a way we can pull.
Great. You guys have
What
anything
was
else?
the third thing? Chromebooks, budget for summer, transportation. All right.
You guys got anything else? Madam President, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, this meeting is
Bless you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.